And where were you, Tim, to defend me, huh?
Hang on, D. I think keep an eye on the channel. I think YouTube's doing this live thing a lot quicker. I think we're live right now. And
let's pretend like we're live.
Until I get used to how fast we go live now, I'm going to always kind of be like skeptical until I stall for 20 seconds and see if it's on the channel here. But if we are live, guys, which I think we are, we do want to thank you so much for joining RDX Podcast. Yes, we are live. We do want to thank you for joining RDX Podcast, guys. Thank you so much. All of the latest and greatest topics every single week in the realm of, well, from the perspective, especially over the last 2 weeks. Damn, Sony are dropping a lot of information here lately. So we got a lot to cover, a ton of great topics. One in particular that nobody else is really talking about that Tim's kind of stumbled on. We're going to reveal that at the end of the show and kind of talk about our thoughts on that. But again, guys, if you're here already, thank you so much. We do appreciate it. Real Deal Xbox Podcast. Unfortunately, talking about a lot of PlayStation 5 today, but we have some other great topics as well. Thank you all for being here. We're going to get into some shout-outs, some intros, and I do want to point out at the beginning of the show that channel members, there are a ton of new emojis to look through. So I had Colt Eastwood here make up some new emojis, and they're actually pretty fucking cool. So if somebody's being a little clown, you got an emoji for it now that's a little more specific, and that goes on both sides because we got some guys that damage control everything Xbox as well. It's all fun and games.
Xbox clown and a PlayStation clown.
We got an X clown and we got a PlayStation clown. You'd be using the PlayStation one a lot more from what I'm seeing, but at the end of the day, we got a lot of great emojis. So if you're not a member, hit that join button. Also early video releases, things like that. And again, thank all of you for showing up. Colt Eastwood, sir, again, how have you been, man? It's gonna be another great show.
I'm loving the Borderlands footage right now. This is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like nice how you lined everything up. Like, yeah, I mean, look at you.
I don't even have an overlay yet. I'm having Sean work on some overlays, a couple of them. It's going to take time. Because when I do shit, I do things big and I do things right. It takes a lot of money to put all this stuff on screen. But I did remove the chat. A lot of people said, hey, that's kind of distracting. Doesn't look right.
It looks really good.
But just know,
I'm proud of you. You've really grown up over the years.
I just need the chat to know. I need the chat to know this is not how things will stay or be. I did a poll on Twitter asking about the gameplay, and it was like 75% to 25%. So I don't really know exactly if it's distracting to you. You can always just, I guess, not watch the gameplay for now until we figure something else out. Or if you like it, that's great. This is Borderlands 3. It's just like an hour and something of footage. Probably going to be some trash in there, so bear with me. But Colt, thanks again, man, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for having me do the emojis. They look really cool. I'm seeing them in the chat. Oh, yeah. The Xbox one looks clean, which is good. Mm-hmm. And I want to see that clown one again. Anybody who's a channel member, thanks for joining Dealer's channel. And man, those do look good. Nice.
Can I get some cool?
Hey, channel members, put up the clown emojis for Cody's for there. Hey, Channelgram, shout out to Channelgram as well, who just became a channel member. Thank you so much. But Colt, should be a great show, man. Lots to talk about.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like this morning, real quick. This is actually a funny story, so I'll tell it real quick. This morning, I had a video ready, and I was going to put out either today or tomorrow. And all the Sony news broke that we're going to talk about, which is like a big bomb, right? And I didn't realize that I just let my video go live like dog early in the morning, because I get up at 5:30 in the morning. So I got to work. I'm like, oh crap, my video's live, and people are saying that they liked it. So
yeah, Matt Burns.
It was like a tragedy for me today.
Shoguns, Matt Burns, Game Bread, Lethal, Tasteless Genie, all you guys putting up them emojis, or some of them. We got a lot of new emojis. Look at these. Look at these clown emojis. I just felt like it was so perfect. Again, man, should be a great show. D-Batch, what's going on, brother? Good topics today.
Oh, man, we have some killer topics today. This is the day that a lot of people have been waiting for. We got a lot of PlayStation 5 information. And the PlayStation fans are going crazy online. They're acting out of character. They're slapping old ladies. And yeah, they'll talk about these things, man.
All right, we'll talk about
ladies, huh?
We'll talk about those assault charges later. Fonzarelli, man, how have you been? Again, good to have you back.
How have I been? Well, despite the fact that, layoffs are coming at my job, my 65-inch HDR TV broke and I'm down to a 24-inch 720p TV. Cool. Aside from that, life is great. Great. Fantastic.
Channelgram says, channel member and patron member, only podcast I listen to these days. Might as well get the money to, give the money to the show instead of All right, thank you so much. We've also got, all right, I'm not going to fall for it this time, DV83R. I'm going to call you Deviator X. Thank you so much for being a channel member as well. Do appreciate it. I think there's like over 40-something channel members now, so that's great. You guys have supported that very well. But again, Bonds, thanks for joining us. xCloud Tim Dog, good to have you back as well.
Good to be here. Last week I had a friend, best friend that I couldn't make it. I had a party, so happy to be here this week. And sounds like a good week to come on, or to be back, because a lot of information that we're going to digest and talk about, and get down to the bottom of it all right here.
That's not true, Tim. We had a play date last week. I listened back to the show and I heard we had a play date.
Oh, that's right. I think
You guys,
we made a joke that you two were playing Leapfrog or something.
You guys did have a play date. It's okay. Hey, shout out to moderator Al Thor, Rand Al Thor in the chat as well.
Hey.
Just be careful. He's a mod. So we've also got new, I guess it's NYT Music. Thank you so much for being a member as well, man. I do appreciate it. So let's introduce, the second most talented, Zalker87. How you been, brother?
I'm doing second most talented. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Right behind Colt Eastwood. No, I'm joking. D, you're the best. Yeah, no, man. I'm enjoying. I actually like the layout, man. I don't know why Colt Eastwood always goes down in the game, though. That's what I've noticed. You're always rescuing his ass. What a fucking mod. Jesus, man. Come on, Colt. Step it up, man. It's gameplay.
I don't think you're one to talk. With those
PS4
streams, Zalker, all the evidence is right there on your mixer, so you're not really going to talk.
I've seen your Apex footage, bro. I've seen it.
So you've seen a god play. Got it, Fonz. Anyways, moving on. Put some clown emojis in there for myself. So I'm glad to be here, man. A lot to talk about. I'm excited about this PS5 information and everything, man. I want to hear what D-Batch and you have to say about it. And honestly, I'm just happy to see the chat, man. They seem like to love the new emojis. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to introduce shout out the patrons here. I'm also going to get a scroll across the bottom of the screen or somewhere for all the patrons as well, because I feel like, that should be being done. I just finally getting around to being able to actually do some of this stuff and figuring it out. But again, I'm going to shout some of these guys out. Colt, there's a super chat. If you could read it after I'm done shouting people out, I appreciate it. And then we'll get into the first topic, which is actually really good. We got a lot of great topics throughout the show. Again, a big one at the end of the show. And let's give some shout-outs real quick to some of the patrons. Friendly Combat, thank you so much. John Blue, again, always cracking skulls on Twitter. Darth Chaos, we got Nerdy Meathead, we got Prython, Vec Boss, Deviator X, Obi-Wan FTW, Tasteless Genie, we got Scout Trooper 74, Centurion 1307, check out legiongamer.com, Black, Real Deal Neil, we've also got Darj Knight, Suicide King. Oh, we've got a winner of a game on Patreon as well. I'm going to announce after this. So if you're a patron, hopefully you're watching this, message me after the show on Twitter or Patreon, and we can hook you up with that new copy of the game, whatever game you wanted to win. Real Deal Nil, like I said, Suicide King, Darj Knight, Michael Bowen. We've also got Guillermo Cavillo. He was able to make the show last week. That was great. Channing Pennington, which we saw in the chat. Wilmy Hood, The Bad Boy Live, Naughty Nubbin, Alfonso Hogan, A Squad, who makes great content as well. Slim Killer 73, Mo Cool Kid. Reach out to me, Mo, if you're hearing this. And the winner of, well, he wants a copy of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, so I guess he'll have to wait until that comes out later this month. But that is Cybernox with a bunch of X's, man. So I think I did a podcast with him recently, actually. I was on the same panel as him recently. So Cybernox, you want a copy of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, that is taken care of for you on behalf of myself. So please reach out to me on Twitter to confirm all of that good stuff. Thanks again. Colt, you ready?
Yep. Adam Opentry says, head of Night School Studios on IGN dropped big news about Game Pass. Oxenfree has been downloaded 3 million times and increased sales on the other consoles.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean that's quite a few times being downloaded there. Again, Josiah, who I think won a game last month, he's a new member of the show as well. So thank you so much, man. There might be another Josiah, but there was one on Twitter.
I'm sorry, is that 3 million downloaded from Game Pass?
Yeah, and then it boosted sales on Xbox and PlayStation.
So we can assume there's more than 3 million people on Game Pass subscribed.
Holy crap! I didn't even think about that.
Solid. I thought about that.
Breaking news:
Wow,
over 3 million
nice,
Game Pass
Stalker.
subscribers.
At least 3 million to 1 because I didn't download that fucking game.
Hey, remember Phil at XO18 confirmed millions with an S on Game Pass. So yeah, they're probably well past 3 million. But hey,
I thought only like 2.
That was a year ago, right?
Yeah,
jeez,
that was a year ago. But hey, you know what? We got to give a shout out to over 400 already watching. Before we can get to the first topic, guys, a little slow on the intro today, but we're getting into it. Thank you guys so much. Hit that like button. Let's try to get to 300 for the end of the show, 1,000 after the fact. You guys are absolutely fantastic. PS5, we're going to start with this because it is the topic of the day. You can't deny it. And we're going to approach all of this kind of from the perspective of somebody who may prefer Xbox. And pay attention to what we're saying about PS5 because, as always, they're on the same coin. Just opposite sides. So if Sony says something, then you can maybe consider that the Xbox may be doing a similar thing per this generation. They did a lot of the same things, and we'll kind of speculate on what we think they might do different. But they confirm a launch of holiday 2020, so there's no fall rumor crap anymore. It will have an updated, facelifted new UI as well. It'll be interesting to see how far they take that. The PS3, PS4 UI are pretty similar. People like it for that reason. Sony finally confirms hardware ray tracing. Now, as I've said in several videos, at the time, Microsoft were the only ones to have it confirmed. And the question was, will Sony confirm it? Is it even a thing in the PS5? That's a logical question. Sony, for the first time ever, have confirmed hardware accelerated or GPU accelerated ray tracing, same thing. And everyone that was telling us it was confirmed before was wrong. Mark Cerny actually tackled that D-batch. We're gonna stop here on the ray tracing. What do you got to say about that?
Wow.
Okay, you sound like you have a lot to say. You don't know where to start.
Yeah, I do. I have so much to say on this topic because people have been saying, we were saying there's going to be no hardware ray tracing in the console at all. It was just not confirmed at the time. And until Sony confirms it, we can only assume.
Yeah.
We don't know one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Sony finally confirmed it today. Anytime I was on Twitter or in my videos saying it has not been confirmed, it was actual facts. It was not confirmed until today.
Yeah.
However, we were under the impression that it most likely would have it anyways. I've said it in a video. I know Dealer and I have said it on this podcast. And today, Sony finally announced that it's going to have hardware ray tracing. And I think it's fantastic for the PlayStation 5, along with the rest of the stuff they announced today. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but ray tracing on the PlayStation 5 is a good thing for gaming. Both consoles are going to have it. It's going to push gaming forward because we're going to have a large install base now, and developers will support ray tracing. And I do think the second generation of ray tracing is going to be better than the first generation, obviously. So they're going to have better tricks. They're going to have better implementation, better hardware, so that we'll get better results than, personally, in my opinion, than what we're getting right now from the first iteration of ray tracing.
All I want, D, is for people that don't know anything about tech stuff to stop saying it's going to be too demanding for console, because for one, we've already talked about over and over how don't act like this is going to be NVIDIA RTX. When we show it on screen, we're showing you an example of what ray tracing is. We're not saying it's RTX, right? So that means a different level of rasterization, probably quality level is going to be different. I fully plan on it being not as capable as the NVIDIA stuff, but very effective for the performance. I think it'll be a lot more optimized. I think developers will take advantage of it in different ways as well, even down to audio. With what Mark Cerny was saying, even though I think that's, a little bit weird to brag about, considering Xbox has had Dolby Atmos for years and nobody's given a fuck when it comes to games. PS4 apparently has it for like movies and stuff, but not games is the last thing I could research on. So nobody really cared about that kind of stuff when it comes to audio, but with visual stuff, when it's custom made for a lot of these console games and implemented in certain ways, I think people that don't know much about how it works on PC will probably shut up about how it's not needed or overrated or it won't work or it's too demanding. I don't know. It kind of sums it up for me on the ray tracing thing. I think it's good. It's finally confirmed. I actually have to delete a big chunk out of Thursday's video, which I've been working on since this weekend. It's a massive, probably the biggest video I've ever done in terms of production. Couldn't get it out Monday, so I had to delete a part of that and re-record that. They finally confirmed it. But anyone else got anything? I mean, Colt, you kind of involved in this stuff as well. You've been talking about it. They're finally locking it down.
Yeah, I mean, D and I kind of were in different camps. He was giving the benefit of the doubt that there was ray tracing. I was saying they haven't said anything, and they kind of sounded like they were skirting around it. So I said it's very possible that they wouldn't have hardware accelerated ray tracing. And Mark Cerny kind of doubled down and said, I wish I wouldn't have worded it the way I did, because I got a bombardment of questions and comments for the past 2 months because of it.
He did say that, didn't he? He said that was
he
one of the
got-
biggest things he got kind of questions about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure Mark Cerny's super smart. I mean, the guy's like, he's like that quiet genius. He just probably didn't mean to say it that way. Maybe they didn't want to show too much, but maybe that was the problem. But this kind of I was kind of pushing on people that my opinion was that the PS5 would still shoot for the $400 price range, and the Xbox Scarlet would be $500. Now, for what we're going to talk about today, I think they both might be $500, which is still great. Which means that everybody's going to get a super powerful console with very few compromises.
Yeah,
Well, I think the reason why he got so bombarded is because they didn't go to E3, right? And Xbox came out and said hardware accelerated ray tracing on stage, and that was it. And so now everybody that wants to buy a PlayStation first was like, well, fuck. Like, does that have that? Does the PS5 have that? Because you didn't say that, and they get bombarded. But the one thing I noticed is that they were quiet for like 4 months. Like, they didn't say anything about it. And then just some random Tuesday, again, another random Tuesday, they just come out and throw out like, yeah, we have hardware accelerated ray tracing. And I heard everything, right? Like, everybody, that's the biggest thing that the internet cared about was hardware accelerated ray tracing. It's like, yeah, because people care about competition. And that's the whole point of it. So it kind of surprises me that Sony was actually quiet when lately Xbox usually was quiet. Like, they would just let rumors fester and just sit there and kind of be like, well, is it going to be this way? And there'll be negative news surrounding it. But now Xbox has kind of seemed like the one that has come out and said certain things about, like, oh, this is not happening, or this, like the camera thing that happened last week, they shut that down.
Right.
And it's like, why didn't Sony just come out and say it? Were they trying to hide something? Because it didn't look like Xbox was trying to hide
Matt
something.
Burns says, why not answer it? Did they add it in? They didn't add it in. It's too late to make changes like that. It is odd that they didn't. Not only did they not talk about visual audio ray tracing back then, but they were talking about, and they gave detail on the audio ray tracing, which people don't really care about, or no one's really used, really. So I thought that was kind of odd as well, Matt. Why do you think they didn't confirm it back then, Fonz? All right, Fonz, good talk.
Well, because I think
Fonz, you're just a phenomenal.
No, Fonz,
You're perhaps the best panel member I've ever had on this show, Fonzarelli, and for you to let me down like this right now.
Well, thank you.
Fonz, why do you think they didn't talk about this in the past, man?
I have no idea why they didn't talk about it. I think Sony's usually they're the ones that are pretty quiet on things. So it was kind of shocking when they did release anything a couple of months ago on their console. And I didn't see this coming, but then again, Zucker said it best, it's just some random Tuesday they decide to release a nugget, but I just wanted to point out too that, like, when you guys were talking, when Dee was talking, like, and then you started talking about ray tracing, getting into what you thought it might be with these consoles. I heard this stuff before. You guys were talking about this for a while, and it's funny how people are just like, those same people that were laughing at you before are now like, oh, okay,
yeah. D-Bash and I were probably the first ones in the world saying that the next Xbox and the PS5 would have ray tracing. There's videos of it, right? So, and people were like, you guys are insane. We're laughing at it. It's how it is. You can get things right all day long, but they only remember the few things you might get wrong. That's how it is.
Yeah, PC guys literally laughed at you two for saying that. I remember this distinctly.
Well, I remember a certain turned PC guy was telling me no ray tracing or I'm dreaming, and I had the tweet. So when the ray tracing came down, I definitely
you dropped the hammer.
Yeah, I mean, as far as this goes, I mean, I was under the idea of that. Why wouldn't you mention it the first time? So I kind of was skeptical, like Colt was, but I was kind of like 50-50. They're going to either have it or they're not going to have it. If they don't have it, they'll have some type of, some type of other type of secret sauce. But I think that being that they announced it was smart today. I don't know why they wouldn't have said that earlier, but the whole. It seems like the last week, once after Layden got out of the way, they have this avalanche of news. Maybe this is all held back. I kind of find the timing of this very strange, but as far as their mind share or their their reach with this. They, I told Deal on the phone, I saw 250,000 people trending on that. And when you're over like 200,000, that's like huge news. Like, when you're in that area, from what I've seen. So they definitely got everyone thinking that the PS5 is now the next generation console. I'd like to see what Microsoft's rebuttal is, or how they're going to handle this.
Yeah.
And if Sony's going to have a show, or are they still having that February hardware show, or is that out of the?
I think they got to
mix now,
show
too?
some of this stuff. Show exactly what you're doing with the ray tracing. Like if Scarlet doesn't show ray tracing when they're debuting this thing, and the difference maybe. That's an L. No matter how good the show is, that will be a negative to me, at least. And no matter, show could be a 9.5. The thing that kept it from 9.7 is the fact they didn't demonstrate the ray tracing, right? And two, if Microsoft were the ones that didn't confirm hardware acceleration on ray tracing and Sony did, we would be asking the exact opposite question.
Yeah, we'd be getting bombarded.
Yeah, we would be asking well, do they have it? I don't know. Axel in the chat says he thinks it's funny. Xbox guys are waiting until XO19 this November. Sony guys are waiting until random tweets. He's got a good point, because lately Sony been dropping it. I just had that up, and it again. I moved my mouse.
It's interesting, though. I mean, as what he says. I mean, are they going to have a PSX? And are they going to have? Somebody said that they had announced that they're going to have a show, but when I further looked into it, I couldn't find anything. So
yeah. You really do have to read these articles, everything
away.
about them by yourself. Guillermo says late to the show. Shout out to the panel and the chat. Thank you so much, Goldzucker.
No, I was gonna say they've been kind of moving away from the show thing. Like Insomniac was just announced on Twitter or during gamescom.
Yeah,
right? They're like, here you go. It's like, all right, fuck, holy cool, that's awesome. And then now another random Tuesday, and then they announced PS Now with God of War, their biggest exclusive ever. You can play on the PC. All this stuff. They're just announcing it. And it's the Sean Layden thing.
That you can play for free.
Even talked about.
You can play God of War for free on PS Now, right?
Well,
you could. It makes the game worse because of it. It does. It's just the worst game ever to come out in a generation.
They have to do these random tweets and blogs because they don't have anything planned until February 2020. They can't really wait from what is essentially June 2018 to February 2020 to announce stuff and keep their fans informed of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So they basically, out of necessity, they pigeonholed themselves into this. We've got to release information over social media and hope that it gets across, and send out a press release, because they made a small gamescom appearance, and that's it for a year and 6
More
months.
than a year since 2018
So
E3, but
Yeah.
where does this put Microsoft, though? In their when their pitch comes for Scarlet, is it too late to wait till E3 now? Or should they just do it?
well, they didn't show everything.
Right, the way they kind of had a press release, kind of what Sony did today.
Well, Sony kind of repeated themselves today too. They didn't they gave us a lot of information of hardware accelerated ray tracing. The other thing that I thought was super cool was the
haptic tracks.
Well, the new controller. They were talking about the innovation in that. I thought that was cool, and that hasn't been apparently given to all developers. They're just bringing that out to everybody to kind of use. I think that's more for first party developers, kind of. I think at this point. But later on, it'll maybe be used by third party. I'm saying time wise, a lot of developers don't have time.
Just there were some recent articles floating around saying that none of these third party developers even have dev kits for the PS5.
Yeah, that was
apparently some of them. Jason Schreier from Kotaku said that he talked to a couple developers and they said, no, we got it in time. I think the only thing that wasn't in time was the controller thing. The new controller, the way it is, and the more real. I think that's the more recent thing. And that article that Wired put out talked about how that was way more recent. That was just given to developers very recently, so they don't even really know how to tackle it yet. So maybe the newer games that come out at launch from third party won't be using that. But who knows, right? This is all speculation.
Schreier is a weird turd as well. I don't know.
Okay, so he's a turd.
Nice.
No, but
I mean, obviously some developers don't have the kits though, because those articles were pretty recent where some developers were claiming they didn't have any. So
yeah.
No, it was a big article. Game Daily had it. I think GameDaily.biz had it, and it was a pretty legitimate article. It was talked about a lot of people. A lot of people said it was hot air, but there were a lot of people saying this is a reputable outlet, which they are, and that's what they had. Right, they had heard all that information, but today's information kind of just blew that away. So that report from them, GameDaily.biz, now at this point looks a little,
and people thought, like, I
fraudulent.
made shameless plug, I don't care, but I made a video about that, talking about how people were talking about the kind of like the PS5 is launching and you're having all this turmoil, like from the higher ups, like Sean Layden leaving, Jim Ryan taking, like a bunch of stuff is moving around in Sony and PlayStation, right? Like you can't like ignore that. So a couple like people talked about it, saying like it's hard enough to launch a whole new console generation. Like, and now we're having all this different things happening. It's kind of like some developers were a little worried about it, apparently.
Yeah, especially because you look at 100 million sold based on their formula that they've been using, and it's been very successful for them this generation. And they're totally doing a 180 on a lot of the things that they were doing this generation. So, I mean, I'm sitting there thinking, there's got to be some point where some people are like skeptical, like, okay, can they just flip the script and actually be successful next generation if they just totally flip on people? I mean, because a lot of these guys were against a lot of the stuff they're doing now. In the past, they would say, oh, Sony would never do this, they would never do that. When it comes to PS Now, when it comes to crossplay, all this stuff, they were so against. And if they truly are against it, is that going to be a good thing for Sony after all? I mean, this is the kind of stuff that these same people were talking negatively against Xbox.
Yeah.
So now that it's flipped, are they gonna have that same energy?
Hey,
No way.
real quick, CK in the chat says Sony confirmed GPU accelerated ray tracing. Xbox has hardware dedicated ray tracing on the hardware cores. Now these are pretty much the same thing. On the PC, your GPU has the RT cores built in, and it's pretty much going to be the same thing with Xbox. The difference could be, and we're going to discuss at the end of the show, that's what that topic's about. So that's based off a leak that we're going to cover as well. So, just because they both have it doesn't mean they're equal, and it could go either way, and we'll kind of discuss that as we go. But let me keep reading about some of the things that were confirmed about the PS5, though, because there is more. And I think all of this is very interesting to me because I'm a tech enthusiast either way. So again, they did confirm the launch window, the UI. They also finally confirmed the hardware accelerated ray tracing, which is great. PS5 has 4K Blu-ray Drive, so those saying Sony, those are irrelevant, and that's why they're not. You're all frauds. They just didn't want to pay for it back then.
Yeah, now it's great, right?
Yeah, so now the PS5 will finally have a 4K Blu-ray Drive 4 years after the Xbox One S and 4 after the X, or 3 after the X. So yeah, everyone talking shit on the Blu-ray Drive in the past. You're all taking a big L there. PS5 installs to use intelligent delivery. Finally, Sony are going to utilize this feature where Xbox One X has been using this already on the Microsoft platform. So you can actually install specific things, and it's not quite like how it works today. Apparently, it's going to be more advanced and there's going to be more options, but even today on PS4, you have certain kind of intelligent delivery type features, like you can choose multiplayer or single player to install first. That's common.
Now, wait, hold on. Keep in mind that this isn't like a bash session about Sony finally doing something. This is a testament to what we've been saying on this show for a long time, that competition is good. Right. Competition pushes the other to make more games. This is what we're seeing with Xbox Game Studios.
No. You know what? I have to clarify, though. It is kind of pie in the face that I'm throwing here, because these same people, with all that energy they had against all this stuff in the past, where is it now, people? I've seen some of these same guys out there on Twitter saying, well, you know what? I've thought about it, or on podcasts, rather. I've thought about it after a while. You know what? Crossplay is good.
Sony said it was okay to want crossplay by allowing it. So it's good.
It's ridiculous. These things are, totally pro-consumer. And let's just get this out of the way too. The fact that it has 4K Blu-ray coming on the PS5, and the fact that PSN now, they've been offering downloads for a while, but the fact that they're doing all this stuff, it has to show some people out there that streaming is not taking over. Let's not go through that BS about, oh my gosh, it's going to take, you being able to use your phone on some games are going to completely take over native hardware. Obviously, they're doubling down by putting that 4K Blu-ray drive in there as well. I mean,
I think it's a little more than that, man. I think it's kind of, I don't know, man. It really actually irritates me a little bit more that they're doing it, because didn't they say like they're not putting the 4K Blu-ray drive in the PS4 Pro because it's way more digital now? It's a digital world. It's like in a year from now, it's
that's not why. That's not why.
Why did they put it in there?
Because they didn't want to push the box closer to $450 or $500. I mean, I'm pretty sure that Blu-ray player adds $25 to the X. It's not a $50 or $100 difference. I mean, there's tons of stuff in the X that makes it $100 more than the Pro by far. But yeah, I mean, it was just like Dealer said, they didn't want to pay for it.
Hey, Alan Jr. Super Chat says Sony wants their stock to rise before the quarterly results as well. So announcing stuff like this could have something to do with that. The second Moonwalker, thank you so much. He says, love the podcast. It is it is sensible by a 1X. Oh my God, by a 1X now. I don't think it is. I don't think it's sensible to invest in Xbox One X if you are planning on getting the Scarlet. If you're not, then wait for an Xbox One X price cut. I think it should be $400 by default. 2 years later, it should already had a price drop, but it hasn't. So again, there's more stuff to kind of confirm and talk about here with the PS5 stuff. I want to get into that as well. So they do have the 4K Blu-ray drive finally, the intelligent delivery or a more advanced version of that, which I'm assuming is going to come to everything. And EA are also talking about the PS5 as well. And some other developers, but I'm going to use EA because it's EA. So they say PS5 will introduce the dawn of instantly accessible play. Now, if you guys remember, I made a video regarding Aaron Reberg, basically confirming instant play as well. So this will also be doing the same thing and either suspend, resume, or, it's seeming like they're taking steps to make games instantly playable off the store as well. So, say what?
Isn't this the same thing? Isn't this the same, like some of the same stuff that the PC guys were laughing at you when you made a video about that just about a month ago or so?
I don't know. I don't care what those
dudes.
I got a better I got a better PC than 98% of them. I know more about how it works than 90% of them as well.
Like, when it comes to, they were making videos about, look, I can instantly get into this or whatever, and they're like showing their download times and stuff on their.
Oh, you're talking about an 8-year-old game that loads in 3 seconds? Yeah. I mean, obviously we're talking about new games, not fucking Fallout New Vegas.
Look, basically the gist of it is I'm just pointing out, people, that Dealer gets so much crap. D gets so much crap for some of the stuff they say, but you know what? They turn out to be right a lot of the time. It's just one of those things where you guys honestly know the tech. And these people naysay you guys, and then when you're right, they're quiet.
But who are these people, though? It's like nobody knows or cares, so that's kind of the thing. Let me read this quote, though, right? Because this is EA. This is EA again talking about how things are kind of looking in the future. I think her name's Laura from EA. She says, we're stepping into the generation of immediacy. In mobile games, we expect games to download in moments, and of course, just be a few taps from jumping into the actual game. Now we are able to tackle that in a big way. And she's talking about the PS5 when she says this. So Tim Dog, when she's saying, hey, we're just a couple taps on mobile from being instantly accessible, instantly playable. What does that tell you about the PS5? And from what we're hearing, kind of like the Scarlet as well.
Yeah, well, that could tie into if they're talking about streaming. I've always said that, I think we've all said that the next gen, when you basically hit the game, you're going to be able to play it instantly. And part of this is the intelligent delivery, which I think Xbox debuted in 2017. I think Ashley Spleicher was on stage.
Spiker.
Spiker. She talked about it on stage, and basically what it is a machine learning program that recognizes how games are loaded, and it the more people use it, and it's I think it's right now used in Game Pass. The more people download it, the more aware it becomes, the more faster you can get to your game. So I think pretty much what they're talking about, EA, is the same exact thing that Xbox is going to have, where you're going to, and this goes down in the future, you're going to be able to buy a game on your phone on xCloud and be able to play it right off of your server within seconds. So that means 1201 comes out and the new Madden comes out and you're somewhere in California and you don't have access to your TV or wherever, and you could just play right off of your device right there. I think Sony's going to be doing the same thing, as well as when you're locally here with intelligent delivery and what their order, you're going to be able to say, hey, I want to play the single player first. And you choose that, and it'll install that first, and then you'll have an option to download the other portions of the game. Also, the way you deliver DLC, all that stuff is going to be clicks away. Buttons, clicks away. So
I don't know about you, man, but Game Pass is nowhere near that quick right now. I don't know if that tech's still
It
not
isn't.
out or
I
not
think
final,
they're
but
more-
I will say that I think with this, it's got more to do with the intelligent delivery. They install,
Right.
they find a way to
with
speed
this
up.
SSD, right?
Yeah,
With
they
the
find a way to store and,
Yep.
and speed up the delivery of these bits that will get you playing the fastest and the most in a different, kind of like streaming, but what you are playing is already there locally.
I have
Well,
to say
the
this needs to be fucking amazing, because that's all we've heard about. Like Cerny's brought up the SSD twice now, back in April and then today. Like they've brought it up multiple times, the custom SSD, and like how you're going to get to your games a lot faster. Phil Spencer has talked about it. Both companies have like really harped on the SSD and getting to games instantly or launching your console instantly, like all the
3
stuff, right?
seconds.
Like 3 seconds or whatever it is. Like I'm honestly like I'm gonna be very critical of it, because they've talked, like they're harping on this, like this is the biggest thing that's coming.
I
And
mean,
so
I
wanna
told
see
you,
the
I said a long time ago, they're going to market these systems on how fast they are. And two, not only that, but
Right.
we're talking about modern games, not 7-year-old, 8, 10-year-old
Exactly.
fucking Fallout New Vegas, dog shit like that.
Yeah.
We're talking about brand new games, and also add to that if you own 500-600 Xbox One games, 360, X1, all that stuff, which by the way, something has leaked from Microsoft regarding Project Scarlet, and we'll go over that as well, where they pretty much, this is like a response to everything they said today almost, but basically every game you own will load lightning fast on the Scarlet. It's and that's same for the PS4, same for the PS5, so big advantage.
All these guys that were talking about, how my PC does that now, all this stuff. But what they need to understand, these consoles, you can optimize it much better, more efficiently, because the fact that all they're doing is playing these games. They don't have to run all these other programs or whatever that computers, have to use, and whatever people use computers for and stuff. Like, you've got so much going on there. There's so many variables that you can't optimize as well as you can.
You know what it was, Fonz? You know what it was? You even had some guys thinking that we were talking about streaming games as you're walking around, like Witcher 3, like open world map, it's streaming in as you go. Like, that's how dumb some of these guys are. But what it really was that we were talking about that they didn't even understand is that the SSD of the console will have a special super fast partition or something else added to it, and combined with the actual RAM on the motherboard, and they'll actually store massive parts of your game locally there and the super fast memory.
That's what it
you can
comes
do that on
down to.
PC though.
But
You
it
can do that on
doesn't-
PC with like a
here's the thing.
cache.
It
But
depends
here's the
on how
thing,
much
that's what
VRAM you have. You don't store
Listen,
anything like that in the
But
VRAM.
this-
You can do it on PC, but this was going to be optimized for consoles.
Console, it's for gaming only, and that's my point. And what I'm driving home here is the fact that these consoles are going to have so much better, parts in them. Like, we haven't seen a good CPU in how many years with these consoles?
Ever.
We're talking about
get a
relative
good-
to other consoles of great parts, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, like, it's going to be really good for consoles, and if you optimize, really good fast SSD or whatever, and you've got a good CPU in there, GPU, I mean, all that optimized is going to make for one hell of a system. I really think these consoles, the possibilities are freaking fantastic, man.
I think this is a direct response to Stadia, because Stadia is boasting how you can start your game instantly, and from anywhere. And I think the consoles are trying to have a similar approach where you just load it instantly, to try to detract people from going over to
That
Stadia.
was their whole
as well.
demo, right? That
Yeah.
was their whole demo. They went from the phone to the TV to the whatever, and they just kept going and going, and there was no load screen. It was instant. And they said, once you buy the game, you just launch it and you're playing. That's it. You don't got to download. You don't got to do nothing. And
Talking
they
about
kinda
Stadia, right?
Yeah, Stadia. They kind of talk down to, like, honestly, like console people, like, hey man, once you buy a game, you got to wait, an hour depending on your internet to download it, and then you got to load in forever. Like, now they're like, yeah, you just instantly click, you're playing.
That's on PC as well. I mean, I buy a game on Steam, I have to wait for that thing to download and install all in
Well, they're
one.
even talking
Yeah.
about that, right? That they're competing against Steam also because they're
Sure.
on PC.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Yeah, someone said in the chat, like, what are you talking about? Console optimization? PCs are the most optimized.
Oh, God.
People don't understand.
Listen,
Let
people
me
just
explain this.
clueless.
Let me explain it because people don't understand what we say when we say console optimization. We're talking about a game that is built specifically for a console. One console. They don't have to do a broad spectrum. They can optimize everything to go to work as I don't know, but
Seamlessly.
dealer can probably explain it better. But
I feel
you
like
know
it's common sense
exactly-
that if developers knew everyone had, let's say, an AMD 5700 XT or a 980 Ti or 2080, if every single person in the world had a 2080 and a X amount of X CPU and this RAM, I feel like it's common sense to know that developers can get a little bit more out of that hardware.
Yeah, I mean, there's difference that like a GTX 1050 Ti can do almost 4K on certain games, but then you load up another another card may not be able to do it. It's just there's so many variables.
The difference is it's the console is a specialty item, right? Like it's a luxury to have that for gaming. That's what it is, to be honest. It is easier to play. It's plug and play, but it is specialized for that. And that's what they're going to make the hardware for. Like Fawn said earlier, they're going to specialize this to load games faster,
Right.
run games better, and that's what it's going to be. PC is not like that, people. Like Fawn said again. It runs a shit ton of stuff. It's supposed to do everything. You could do so much more with a PC, right? Because of all the applications on it that you could download. That's the difference between the console and the PC. That's how it's going to be
there are pros and
optimized.
cons to every platform. Flexibility, price.
Listen,
hang on one second. Gaming News Now, or Gaming News Central says, new setup looks sharp and great. Love you guys. Always the best podcast for info. Thank you so much, sir. I mean, we can all agree, and I've explained exactly what I'm talking about with the RAM on the motherboard combined with the SSD. What I'm talking about is I'm not doing it on my PC. That's not what's happening. So I've already done a fucking 12-minute video on this, and Tim's heard things, I've heard things.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. I want to just interject here. The things that you heard, the things that made your video, were actual things that we heard at E3. That this stuff is proprietary to the console. What these consoles are going to be doing are not going to be able to be done on PC. And when
at least not right now, right?
Well, at least right now. The tech is specifically made for the device, the console, and it's engineered in such a way that they basically said there's nothing like this. There's nothing like this on the market right now, and that is not coming from that's coming from people who are engineers and understand this stuff. The ability to take your console and get within your UI within 3 seconds from a cold boot, and if you take that step further, you can buy a game and instantly download it and be playing that game within 10 seconds, a new release that comes out. Or you could walk in and turn on your thing within 10 seconds, be playing a new game instantly. There's something to be said from that. That's ease of use, and that type of fast way to get to your games, to your services is unprecedented.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
It could be that. It could be that, or it could be even like we said, every single game, no matter what hard drive it's on, external, internal, could boot up in fucking 3 seconds. Which a brand new game on PC, I've not had one boot up in 3 seconds. Sorry, where I'm in the fucking game.
We've gotten so much closer to PC, type gaming when it comes to like when we got the X. Like it really blew me away visually with some of the stuff that I've seen with games like Metro Exodus, Red Dead 2.
It'll never do 4K, Fonz. That's what I was told for years.
Yeah, and here's the thing though, like the only thing that was really holding the X back from truly like blowing us away was probably, well, of course the CPU, but again, maybe SSD as well, and that would have made it very PC like. And I just think the optimizations there that consoles have make the possibilities for consoles endless at the end of the day. Just as long as they have the good parts, the parts that we need to make these games run fantastic. And it sounds like the CPU is going to be great next generation, and I'm excited, man. The more I hear about this stuff, as a console gamer, lifelong console gamer, I'm truly excited.
Honestly, man, you really should be. If you want frame rate, if you want fast load times, you want finally, higher fidelity with no bottleneck on the CPU side, volumetrics. I've talked about it a million times. You know what you're in store for. You are in store for a good looking game at a high frame rate, and that's really all I want. Neon Shinobi, thank you so much for $15 super chat, brother. Thank you so much. We've got even more topics to cover, believe it or not. We got to give a shout out to almost 850 people watch this live, guys. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Thank you so much
Thanks,
for
guys.
the support. And hit that like button if you haven't already. Let's try to get up to past 300 for the end of the show and 1,000 after the fact. You guys really help us get our voices out there. If you got any friends that are into this kind of stuff, Xbox-related stuff like this, even if it's a bunch of fans of the Xbox talking about a PlayStation in their news today, maybe show a friend. We do appreciate it.
Honestly, gaming period. We talk about it all in gaming.
We really do, but we do got to give a shout out to all the listeners. We're going to go ahead and carry the topic forward. And again, we got some really good stuff at the end of the show as well, and throughout. There's some good stuff going on in terms of PS5 games. Ghost of Tsushima is a game that I was told over and over is only on PS5. It's not going to be on PS4, and it'll be out with the PS5, blah, blah. We all kind of expected it maybe be a launch title, but Sony are confirming that is a summer title in 2020, and it will have a PS5 patch when the PS5 releases. Also, Bluepoint working on a big PS5 game as well, which is the studio that does all the remasters. Colt, tell the story about the when it comes to controller. Real quick, I'll come back to that. The controller is funny because I remember when the Xbox One launched, right? Everyone's like, "Who cares about rumble triggers? They don't do anything. They're stupid." Well, Sony are having rumble triggers with the PS5. That's confirmed. They have haptic feedback on the triggers, and let me tell you, PlayStation guys. I've been touting this feature forever. This is night and day game-changing shit with racing games. I'm not even kidding you. Your car will feel like it's on the road when your differential's open or not open enough and one side's locking or both sides, maybe it's a little too far open, or you're just doing a burnout. You can feel the tires losing grip in your right finger. The most sensitive points in your hand are your fingertips, right? You feel that loss of traction in your throttle finger. When you are locking up the brakes, you got ABS off or whatever, you'll feel those brakes locking up in your left finger. Now, this is night and day in terms of awareness, immersion, all of that when it comes to rumble triggers. Be excited for that. I'm serious.
Yeah, it's immersive because it tells your brain that you're feeling the rubber on the tarmac.
Your sense of awareness is night and day.
Yeah, it is absolutely amazing. So the story,
I think it's not just the driving games.
It's not.
Other games take full advantage of that too.
Yeah.
I think it's going to.
Yeah, they talked about a bow and arrow, like you would feel it, like the tension
that's awesome.
pulling the bow and stuff
Yep.
like that. Like,
So
there's a
here's
bunch
what
of cool
happened.
Examples.
Here's what happened. This journalist got to sit down with the PlayStation 5 dev kit, and they gave him the new controller and had him play a port up of next generation of Gran Turismo Sport. And he said that the rumble triggers felt like you could feel the different type of grip. You could feel the different surfaces as he went off the track and back on the track. And he said it felt totally immersive. He could feel like he was connected to the car was connected to the road. And then he said he took the controller and handed him a DualShock 4 and said, now try it like it's been this generation. And he said, I was totally disconnected from the car. It was like it was dead. And he said, there's a reason why it was dead, because that's how Gran Turismo Sport is. Because the testers for the game before it came out in 2017 were adamant about Sony removing rumble from the DualShock 4 because they said it distracted them from driving and enjoying the game.
Oh, God. King Long, by the way, in the super chat says Amazon's working on a project to compete with other 1 gig speeds. Tim, do you know anything about that?
No idea. I've never heard of it. But all I can say is that the future in itself, 1 gig is going to be accessible probably from the air. And, you're going to even start to see a little bit faster than 1 gigs bouncing around. But that's all in the future. The way the infrastructures are being built out. We talk about, hey, it's a flick of a switch. In the next 5 years, if it's going the rate it's going, I would think that a lot of areas are now covered either by wireless or landline, mostly wireless though.
Shit's ramping up. I need faster upload though. I don't want to stay on this very long, but upload is very important to someone like me. Philly Eagle says, good evening panel. # fun and facts are important. They matter. Keep them coming. Thanks, fellas. Everybody, hit the like button. Thank you so much, Philly Eagle. Do appreciate it, brother. But you're right, Colt. They did confirm GT Sport getting a PlayStation patch. I wouldn't be surprised if they ran that at like Checkerboard 8K or they did tout some kind of 8K stuff. In racing
Just
games
to
like
say
that,
they could do it.
Yeah, and maybe or a 120 FPS mode, something like that. Racing games, I would imagine, would have some modes like that.
The takeaway is that they kind of cheaped out on the the DualShock 4 is amazing compared to the 3, in my opinion, but they cheaped out on the Rumble. People have always complained that the Rumble is too light and too weak on the DualShock 4. And if you've played with an Xbox controller on shooters and racing games, it's really, really, really good. So it's something to be excited about for sure. And it seemed to be quite a bit of what they talked about in this news today.
Mhm.
Is that new controller.
I also hope the new controller has better build quality because the PlayStation 4, the build quality is, I don't know, it's just too plasticky. It's hard to put into words, but I hope it has a better build quality. And they also said that it's going to have a bigger battery life, the DualShock 5. So
Yeah.
And it's still going to be lighter than the Xbox One controller, they said. They're trying to keep it light. But I have an Elite, and just the weight alone, I don't know what it is. The weight alone makes that controller feel so much
It's
better.
just better built.
Nicer.
PS5 controller also will utilize USB-C, so you'll get super fast charging, which is great for bigger batteries especially. It'll have a bigger built-in mic and a speaker on it, so like the current PS4 controller has a speaker. This one will have a mic, so look forward to hearing all of these dog shit mics and lobbies. I'm sure that'll happen. And they did confirm that GT Sport, of course, has a PS5 version, which is pretty interesting as well. I talked about how PlayStation were going to have ray tracing a long time ago, and then they brought up the fact that Gran Turismo was working, showed off a ray tracing demo for GT Sport, and I said that, hey, they don't bring their games to PC right now. This is definitely for the PlayStation 5. That's pretty much everything's confirmed right there. And we have a live question from Twitter here, Waza55, who replied to my RDX post. He says, will all of the PS5 news make Xbox reveal more about Scarlet at XO19? Tim Dog, I'll have you answer that before I read this next part.
What was the exact question?
God damn it.
Is all the news that Sony's been saying the past month, is it going to push Microsoft to say a little extra at XO19?
Maybe sooner.
Yeah, well, we just thought, maybe sooner. We talked about this pre-show, me and Dealer, and we were talking about kind of a strategy. Would it be too early to say something tomorrow? If they did, like, theoretically say something tomorrow, would that look bad? Like let's say that they pushed out some PR tomorrow, and they said, hey, this and this and this, and we're this and this and this,
No.
and would that be kind of people would take that bad, or do you think that people would like that?
people,
That's one of the questions. Just let me finish my other point. And the other thing is that as far as the news with XO, again, are they gonna? I propose this question. Now they're kind of in the situation where there's so much information about PS5, and there's so much now mindshare connecting to PS5. Do you do something immediately? Do you do something at XO, or do you wait until Xbox E3 where Sony's going to be and they're going to show their system?
You definitely do it before E3, in my opinion.
Yeah, in my opinion, they're kind of in a little bit of a wedge here. They have to figure out what they got to do. They got to they kind of got to get somebody in the mind share that, hey, Xbox is still here. If anything, people say Xbox is going away, and the last thing you want to do is have a casual market thinking that the only next gen console is being launched is PS5. So when you have that, that's no good. So I don't know. I keep my eyes out tomorrow, see if anything's said. If not, I definitely XO.
I'd say leave most of E3 to games for Xbox. Show us those games.
Well, they'll definitely talk about the consoles.
Well, they're gonna have the hardware, the sale. They're gonna have the release date at E3 probably, and how much it's gonna sell.
Yeah.
Hey, show those graphics. Show that silky smooth 60 frames. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
I think it would kind of be good if Microsoft did respond, because right now Sony does have the announcement today, and making an announcement tomorrow would take away some of that shine.
Yeah, but do you think that they came out with this?
Also, too, it could be a wasted shot where Sony still has some mindshare right now. Let it run its course, till it dies down a bit, and then bam, Xbox announces something.
But do you think Sony's putting out some of this good information because people are like speculating what's going on behind the scenes at Sony? Is there problems? Are there troubles? Do you think that they put that out?
They want to probably move forward. Yeah.
I think Tim was onto something ever since Layden left. Like, just been news after news after news, and blockbuster news, and like some super U-turn.
Super U-turns.
Super
That's just a
U-turns.
circle.
That's Canadian.
I honestly find that we're going to talk about it at the show and some of the stuff that we'll talk about later on. But I honestly think that there might be a reason why they're doing it the way they're doing it. I thought the perfect thing for them to do would be have a February event and kind of reenact what they did in 2013. If anybody remembered, 2013 they were in New York City. They announced the PS3 and the
PS4.
the PS4 and the screen of death for the Xbox death is when they announced that they had 8 gigabits of DDR. I think it was 5 or whatever.
GDDR5.
GDDR5, and that at the time was expected to be 4. Microsoft thought it was going to be 4. They thought they had that, feather in their cap where they have 8 gigabits of.
I mean, the
RAM
average
to
graphics card
offer.
back then had 1.52 gigs
Right.
of
And
G5, right?
Right. And so it was a big surprise within the industry when they announced the 8. And I remember when I saw the 8, I'm like, uh-oh. Because at that time, people said Microsoft was pretty sure that they had that advantage. They weren't going to be as powerful, it was rumored, which it was true, but they would have the RAM advantage. And when they announced that 8 gigabits of better RAM, not to mention it wasn't the eSRAM, it was a huge moment. And for me, that memory of that February show was so big. So I thought they were going to just do it then, but for the way they did it today. It scratches my head. I don't know what I think it's working though in some aspect, and I do think Microsoft had to answer it in some way, but I don't understand why now, why so early.
Well, you got a good point there with the PS4. It's no coincidence that thing was announced with 8 gigs. We'll just say G5. It was announced with 8 gigs of G5 RAM, right? And it's no coincidence that the X1 back then had 8 gigs of GDDR3 or what was it? Yeah,
eSRAM, SRAM,
and it's no coincidence that the ESRAM, when utilized, doubles the bandwidth to be almost 200 gigabytes per second, which is what that 8 gigs by itself with no ESRAM did. I mean, that's no coincidence. Xbox Battleground says, brothers, till the end. Thank you so much, sir. Also, we've got David Robinson. Yo, dealer, you tell him about the triggers. Yeah, I definitely did. I don't know if you heard. Some don't know. But now they know. Yeah, the triggers are legit, bro. That's a good announcement for Sony, guys. Be excited for that. I love those triggers. Jedi Knight Matrix says, any new news on Xbox/PS5 backwards compatibility? There's some detail in there. Colt or Zalker, any of you guys remember anything that was said about backwards compatibility in the article?
Yeah, they said something about like some PS4 games might not work. I don't know why. Like there was an article about it, like some might not work or something like it was weird. They're very vague on it, but they said that it is going to be backwards compat with 4, but some games might. I know it's fucking weird. Like it's really like honestly, like they're almost kind of like avoiding it, but they're saying it's there.
It's almost the exact same thing that Microsoft's saying right now. They said that they've been doubling down on getting all 3,000 games on the Xbox One to play on Scarlet, but their intent is to get them all running. But they said
no
some
PS3 though.
I mean,
no
they're
PS3.
kind of no PS3. Yeah, this is all last gen. So, which is likely where all of your digital purchases come from. But your PS3 and Xbox 360 games are most likely carryovers and a lot of games with gold PS Plus stuff.
So did they confirm
what they don't say
that there's no PS3 stuff?
No PS3 support.
So they did
confirm
confirm
to
that.
emulate it. They haven't said anything about that.
Okay.
So what I get from that is the holdup, which is still with the backward compatibility problem, is licensing, and they're not upfront about that with their customers. Like you bought the game, but licensing restricts them from bringing it up back compat, and Microsoft's not saying sorry. It's just how the business runs. They're just like pretending like some of those games are not being looked at all.
Yeah.
Like a game like Dirt 2, it's one of my favorite racing games ever. Why can't I have it? It's most likely the car licenses and the licensed songs on there that they can't even touch it.
Yeah.
Well, and people have bought games,
They can rest easy because they will be able to. It looks like I'm just reading the article, and Death Stranding will have an update, so you will be able to pee on mushrooms and sing to babies and glorious.
Oh gosh.
Hey, The One Gaming says, love the show, longtime subscriber. VR for Xbox Scarlet needs to happen. PSVR stole me from Xbox. Yeah, there's some information. We're going to cover that as well. But again, we have a lot more topics to talk about, a lot more stuff to go through as well. So That was a great live question, Waza. Sparked an entire conversation. Thank you so much. So let's talk about this Clobriel leak, Tim. Now, if you know, Clobriel's been on to several things in the past. He's leaked a lot in the past, and he says that this is the official description for Project Scarlet for the console. Now, on the screenshot that he showed, he says Project Scarlet will set a new bar for console power, speed, and performance. Now, keep that in mind. This leaks the day that PS5's information comes out like this. I don't think that's a coincidence. Microsoft are also the only ones who have ever claimed to set any bar for power, meaning the best. They're the only ones who said they are shooting to be the most powerful. Any of that. Sony hasn't said anything. If they did, we would be talking about it. So they say Scarlet will set the bar for console power, speed, and performance, arriving holiday 2020 alongside Halo Infinite, which is great. They confirmed launch title there. With a custom-designed AMD processor, high-bandwidth GDDR6 memory, and a next-generation solid-state drive. Project Scarlet, let me scroll here. Project Scarlet will give developers the power they need to bring their creative vision to life. Thousands of games across all 4 console generations. That's the original Xbox, 360, X1, and now Scarlet. And that includes all enhancements as well. Thousands of games across 4 generations will look and play best on Project Scarlet.
Ooh.
So that is something that you should take in. And again, this isn't from nowhere. And again, Microsoft have already said publicly they're not building this to be second place in power. They've already said this. So what are your thoughts on this, Zalker?
Well,
I think it's.
I'll come back to you, Tim. He's like, I'll come back to you, Tim.
I just want to give a shout out to Phil Spencer. He's in the house. What's up, Phil?
Hey, Phil.
hey, Faye!
Zucker, what's your take on this this big quote here, the official description of Project Scarlet from Microsoft here?
I think it's fucking awesome. I mean, this is exactly what any gamer wants this, right? Like Sony comes out and they're like, well, look at our shit. Then Xbox comes out and is like, nah, look at our shit. That's the whole point, right? Competition, people. That's the whole point. We want this. This is like good. Like seeing that, like saying thousands of games. One, I love that. Like all the games I have are going to come with me to Scarlet. I think that's fucking awesome. Or most of my games or whatever the hell it is. But like saying that, hey, these are going to play best on Project Scarlet, like show some fucking confidence in your product.
Yeah.
And that's what this is showing. Like this is showing confidence in the product. And I'm not going to lie. I did see a lot of stuff about the PlayStation and I was excited. Like we're all excited. We're gamers, man. Like this is gaming news.
Well, Zucker, you're a PC guy, right? Tavion wants to know if you think PS5 and the next Xbox will support ultra-wide monitors.
I don't fucking know. Maybe. Who knows? Who knows what they do? I mean,
No.
I mean,
I'm at the end of the day, you know what is important is that we have over 900 watching right now, Zonker. So we want to give a shout out to those guys that are watching, checking us out. Hit that like button. Let's blast past 300 likes. Let's try to get past 400. Fuck it. And of course, 1,000 after the fact. We do appreciate it. We're talking about all the latest, breaking some leaks, talking about things that no one else, no other people are talking about right now. So we do appreciate it.
Hold on, I got to read this. I got to read this super chat. Phil Pyromancer gave you $2, dealer.
Thanks, Phil Pyromancer.
I want half of that. He said, Power did nothing this gen for Microsoft, shaking my head. Actually, Power did a ton for 80% or 90% of the games that came out the past 2.5 years. It did a ton.
Well, he also says he needs games,
people.
Right? That's what he says. But here's what you got to understand, Phil Pyromancer, is that we've been talking about the need for first-party games for years on this podcast, over 2 years.
Well,
we know we need games, but the best part is they've over doubled their studios in the last year and a half. They've got 40 projects in the works. We know they have 15 studios now. Each studio is working on at least one project. That's without counting the secondary studios or even the third tier studios in those studios. So you got stuff in development, right?
But that's the funny part. Is he's not talking about missing games. He's talking about sales. He's talking about console sales.
All right.
Well, I know failed. Dude,
Colt just did like a freaking.
He's a Sony guy, but he's also the same guy that probably pushed resolution at the beginning of this gen. To say power it doesn't matter is stupid. It does matter. Is the only thing that matters? No, it's just one of the piece of the pie. But to say it doesn't matter is stupid. Failed, and I know for a fact you want it to be the most powerful.
I think today's proof of that. That's how it matters.
I mean, Failed, you got to look at your brethren out there, man. For one, look at your old tweets, because we know you've talked about power over and over. That's not a big deal. You want power as a consumer, right? You want the most performance for your dollar. But you got to look at your brethren out there and listen to what they were saying and what they're saying now. And also keep in mind that we don't give a fuck about sales. Like, games are going to be available where they're available at, and you play where you want to play. Rumple Foreskin as well in the super chat says YouTube didn't send out the notification again. Looky there, YouTube. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Well,
YouTube.
I gotta say, I honestly, like, and on Twitter, I saw a lot of PlayStation fans, I guess is what you could call them, if they're even gaming fans. They're like, look at Xbox, players running and hiding after all the news dropped, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It's like running and hiding. We're talking to more people right now than most of them combined.
We're sharing.
Right? So.
Yeah, we're like making videos about it. Like, we freaking love this stuff, man. Like, what the hell's wrong with people?
I find
like,
most of the guys that are screaming and kicking up and making all the noise, they hardly play any games. I have more exclusives than them. I have more PlayStation gear than half of these guys. Like, it's just
you bench more games. You benchmark more games this year, D-Bash, than all of them combined, man.
I prefer PlayStation games. That's just me. I like their exclusives better. So
that's fine. That's, everyone has what they like. No, I just want to say the validity, the authentic. Like Clobril, I heard some people like trying to take down his character and saying that he doesn't know. I could tell you for a fact that he definitely has some type of connection, whether it's a connection that he gets through however he gets it, being in a database, having access to a certain database, a UI database, I've heard, rumor. But the fact is the information that he gets, especially these things like that he posted, are absolutely 100% legit and factual. And the reason why I know that is because over E3, I was talking to somebody in the industry, a guy, we all know him, he's somebody in the industry that we all know. I'm not going to say the name, but I showed him a certain clip that nobody really saw. And I said, is this official documentation? And he said, yeah. He said, I didn't send it to him because I didn't want to pass something. I just showed him on my phone. I said, hey, look at this. And he looked at me and he says, where'd you get this? He says, well, this and that. And, he was being cool, but he's like, I can tell you 100% that document is 100% accurate. And that is internals. So the fact that people say that Clobril doesn't know what he's talking about or makes things up or he's a fanboy, he has some very real connections and he has some very real documentation, stuff like that. So
I would validity to him. He's the one that did the Obsidian Entertainment.
Yeah,
like 2 months before it was announced.
That and Gears 5, he had a lot of information on that. I've never seen the guy criticize Microsoft once, which is kind of weird, but I will say, yeah, everything that he's talked about that I can remember has pretty much turned out to be true. And Obi-Wan FTW wants to know the question of the day: is Minecraft a AAA? I don't know, Zalker.
What's ray tracing?
100%.
Zalker, is Minecraft a AAA?
100%. Greatest game with that 4K. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, they canceled that shit. Hey, Gamer 287 as well. Thanks in the super chat, brother. But again, let's go ahead and move forward. We've got that description for Project Scarlet. Again, Project Scarlet will set a new bar for console power, speed, and performance. All very something to consider. Microsoft has said this in interviews as well. It's trying to set the bar. They're not built to be second place in power. Arriving holiday 2020 alongside Halo Infinite. Basically, custom designed AMD chip, high bandwidth GDDR6 memory, and of course, next generation solid state drive. Project Scarlet will give developers the power they need to bring their creative vision to life. Thousands of games across 4 console generations will look and play best on Project Scarlet. Colt, go ahead.
They also said that the Xbox One X would do 4K and AAA games like Red Dead. So, do you really believe? Oh, wait a minute.
That is weird because if Red Dead 2 can do it, it's one of the best looking games of all time. If Metro can do it, one of the best looking games of all time, how come other games can't do 4K here?
I don't know, but think about this. The last thing that you said, that almost interrupted my thought, was that you said about those thousands of games from the legacy generations. If you're invested in the Xbox ecosystem, Scarlet's a no-brainer. If you have, let's say we bought maybe 20, 30, 360 games. Games of Gold gave us a handful of great ones. Like, all those games are coming forward. If you're on the PlayStation 5, as far as we know, if you want to play old games you bought, you have to pay again through PS Now to stream them. And hopefully on the Azure system, you'll get them out of 720p 30 with latency, with heavy latency. So I hope that things change there, because I know that people have said, you hear this all the time. I've been with PlayStation forever. I'll always be with PlayStation no matter what. Like, well, your ecosystem ain't with PlayStation.
Yeah.
Your ecosystem has been divided every generation. It's unfortunate the PS3 couldn't make it happen up to the next one, but hopefully they're working on a solution, some kind of big software emulation to bring PS3 in.
But wasn't Jim Ryan the guy who said that he wasn't into backwards compatibility?
Yes.
He said, "Who wants to play old games?
Who wants to play
who wants to
those
play old
things?
games?
Who needs that?
So, I mean, going forward, is that really a priority for them? I mean, outside
I think
of PS5,
I think it's going to be. They're going to announce it. They'll announce it. They'll have PS4 games.
It's only going to be through PSN. I guarantee it. I guarantee
could
it.
be.
I guarantee that nobody really truly fucking knows, because they've talked about a lot of things that, we're going to be more traditional, we're going to be more this, and the next thing you know, PS Now is actually extremely important. It's going to go hand in hand with the console.
Sony is doubling down on console gaming, and then they partner with Microsoft for the cloud, and
then we have idiots saying, "I'm scared of what Xbox is doing," and then Sony's like, "Well, bitch, we're doing the same thing." Sorry. And so like I don't get it.
Dealer just kind of figured something out that I didn't think of it that way. That Sony said we're doubling down on console hardware so that they can prepare their fans and their consumers to hear the message a month later that services go hand in hand with the console, and they're going to double down on PlayStation Now. I didn't even think of it that way. And you're making a bigger platform. Microsoft's making their platform as big as they can. Sony knows they have to compete in the cloud.
T-Pain.
He botting hard. Hey Colt, can you hear me? Oh no, what's happening? Can anybody hear me? Chat, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Everyone's going robot.
Holy crap! This is kind of odd.
Now
everybody's a robot.
Oh my gosh, that was so bad.
Everybody turned into T-Pain.
Cool.
Everybody turned into T-Pain for a second. Sorry about that.
Just pretend like everything I said was really, really cool for a moment. But yeah, they're just making the platform bigger for everybody, and they're both doing it.
Wow, I was like, what is happening here? Like, everything's gonna explode. Could be I got the bandwidth up too high or something. Rumple Foreskin says $2.
Oh, Jesus.
$2 to make $2 to make Tim Dog holla. Let's hear it. Tim Dog.
Hello!
All right.
I think it was Discord.
Rumple!
Discord, because my Discord went down really low. So I bet
Can I just say Tim is a cheap date, and he hollered for $2. Look at that. Come on, Tim.
Tim's done worse for less.
I was hoping for hardware racing.
Okay. Well,
Dealer streaming on PS Now.
Oh my god. Hey, by the way, we're getting some people talking about how the gameplay footage and all that. Again, it's just the raw footage. It might be parts that are boring, but I did a poll on Twitter. Still not 100% who likes what, but if it's distracting,
I like the layout you got right now. I think it's fine.
Again, I'm having more worked on. This isn't even an overlay. I've got several being worked on. It takes time and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it won't be like this forever.
Yeah, I've been against having the chat on there. I don't like that white background on there.
It clashes. Yeah, I've definitely known that for sure. But again, Tim, well said. I think you were the last one that was kind of talking about that. Microsoft, who knows? Maybe they'll release a statement tomorrow about Project Scarlet. Maybe they won't. We're hearing about some other things.
Keep your eyes open.
Keep your eyes open.
I'm kind of happy that everybody's kind of keeping everything close to the vest. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of like. It seems like both companies are waiting for one flinch. That's the way it looks like, and I think with all the kind of negative news that was coming out with Sean Layden and everything, kind of made Sony do this. Who knows, man? Because it is a random Tuesday, but they've done it before, so I don't fucking.
Well, they were getting a little bit of heat last week.
These guys, you're right. They're waiting for someone to flinch.
D-Batch, you sound like you're kind of far away from the mic.
Get closer to your goddamn mic.
You sound like you're
calm down, Zoc.
You sound like you're fucking leaning back in a hammock, yelling at your mic.
Zoc is acting like a pissed off stepdad.
I thought I had the mic in my hand. I don't know what happened.
That was a banana.
Holding a mic the whole time.
He does the podcast on like a vocal mic. He's like,
no, today I gotta do it on the couch. My son's actually home early, so like I gotta do it on the couch today. It is what
I understand. I'm on the couch too.
Nice.
Failed
I'm in the
Pyromancer
swimming
says,
pool. What the
I
fuck?
guess regarding Microsoft Sony cloud partnership, that was Microsoft showing Sony investors that more money be made by forcing Sony's hand to get with the times. They didn't force Sony. Sony, according to Phil Spencer, came to Microsoft about it and were adamant about partnering with Microsoft to help their server system, because they knew that you got to remember each one of Microsoft's basically their data centers that they stream the stuff from cost them like $1 billion. Sony don't have that kind of cash. They invested $58 million in Gaikai for an example. Like it's overall they don't have the capital to make their own kind of Azure competitor anywhere near close to the top fucking 10. And they figured why not go with the guys who have experience with Xbox Live and gaming, and xCloud from what we're hearing is doing really well. Yeah, I mean all of it. So Microsoft are a sure bet. That's why they went to Microsoft. Plus the cross-play stuff. It's just going to help everything in the future be a little bit more smooth, So
happy about cross-play stuff.
Yeah, and speaking of that,
that was
Sony,
great news.
Sony actually confirmed they're fully unlocking crossplay via a new SDK update. The feature will basically be baked into their development now, so any developer can essentially hit a switch, right, officially now, and do crossplay with other platforms.
I'm actually
Even
super
though-
against this. I'm actually really
Even-
super against this because I want to protect the children. Like, I'm afraid.
Jimmy.
Wasn't it Sony that said there was no Switch? Like it wasn't just a Switch, or was that some other developer?
No, that was Major Nelson said it's just not a Switch at the beginning of the generation.
Yeah, at the
I
time
heard-
there was no.
the flip the Switch.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what you're saying. The Rockstar dev didn't. No, not the Rockstar.
It was Bethesda. Bethesda.
Yeah,
Bethesda. They made Fallout 76 and they wanted crossplay, and then Sony was like kind of starting to be like, maybe we'll do it, and they're like, well, we already fucking made our game without crossplay in it. We can't just go back in and turn it on. Like that's what Bethesda said to them. Like, you stupid assholes. Like, we asked you like 17,000 times, and you kept saying no, no, no. And then now you're gonna be okay.
When they make a better game, it'll be crossplay.
I gotta say this though, gamers don't know what they want until they get it. This is huge
100%.
news. This is gonna change fucking gaming, and like gamers are just so nonchalant about it. This is big news.
Yeah.
Well,
there's-
I remember people failed Pyromancer. One of the guys listening.
Take it
shout out
easy
to
on my
you.
brother Failed Pyromancer,
No, but
man.
I remember guys saying, "So we don't need it, 80. We don't need you guys. It's stupid. We don't have to go this way." I mean, I can say numerous texts going from multiple guys who were defending it. And there's a complete.
Well, of course you
change.
need crossplay. You only have 5 million people on your platform.
Right, yeah, stupid stuff like that.
Fucking idiots.
But all that said, I mean, I'll let you, Fonz, go ahead. But I just wanted to say I heard all that stuff, but I'm happy to see that really everyone's really now getting behind it, and they can see the potential in it. And I think it's going to be a
So
really
what
good.
you're saying, Tim, is everyone finally is saying and
They're on
agreeing
board.
and agreeing with what we've been saying since they talked about it in the first place, right? It's kind of odd.
Correct.
It all loops
Yeah.
back around,
I
Tim
remember-
Dog. It all comes back around. Tell you what.
Getting, people, calling me all kinds of names, just making fun of me for wanting this sort of stuff to be out there. And when I'm on podcasts talking about cross save, cross progression, cross play, people were always so against it. And I mean, they'd get really irate and pissed off at you for wanting that. Oh, Sony doesn't need it. It's like, what? I mean, what is wrong with you people? This is so pro consumer. The fact that, we just got cross progression or cross save with Destiny, that I just want to say, like, it is like really a lifesaver for me, because I can play that game now with my friends on both consoles, have the same characters transfer over. It's so nice, man. Like, and the fact that they've opened up crossplay now too. I mean, the potential there is so awesome, man. Like, you will only need to buy one copy on one console, play against your buddies over there on PlayStation if you want, or Xbox, vice versa. But it's just awesome, man. Like, this is so pro consumer. Why anybody would speak against it is beyond me.
King Long says Sony stated they would double down on VR games. They also stated that they would make less games due to dev cost. So the cost would be $60 million. I need a little more context, like regular AAA games, or just let us know. But yeah, they did talk about making less games, but making the games they do have and the games they do make bigger, more time, more investment.
Right.
I kind of agree with that. I want bigger budget blockbusters over stuff that's, and I get there's audiences everywhere, you need things for everyone. But right now, I think Xbox needs a particular type of game more than another, and that's just my opinion. You may disagree, you may agree. Let me know down below.
Do you notice, Dealer, that the fact that there's all kinds of these, guys that'll just run around saying things that, again, like they're so against pro-consumer things, they go so far as start speaking on behalf of the company and their money and everything. And it's just ridiculous, man. We see it time and time again.
Why are they worried about their money? Did they got their hands in the piggy bank or what?
I don't get it. And the fact of the matter is, anytime a company decides to open up something that is very pro-consumer, you should take it. Stop thinking about, oh, well, aren't they going to lose this or that? Who cares? They're giving you more. Shut up. Take it.
Well, no, they're not losing money. If Microsoft and Sony have crunched the numbers, especially Microsoft, the concurrent trillion-dollar company, right? If they are doing something like this, they know what they're losing and what they're getting, how much is coming back in the end. It trickled down sales, all the advertising that comes along with seeing everyone in your friends list playing a Game Pass game day one, right? All that stuff. They've considered it all. They've thought of things you've never thought of, I've never thought of. They know every single statistic, and this is the way they're doing things. They're not telling you to buy Gears 5. On every commercial, it's get it in Game Pass. That's for a reason.
Game Pass is awesome, man.
They prefer, awesome. Believe it or not, they prefer you get it in Game Pass over a sale. I know that for a fact. So just consider that.
The closer PS Now gets to Game Pass, the closer I am to buying that service. And I will be there, once that, day and date happens for them, I am there, Sony. I am there. And so are millions of others. Millions of others who've talked against Game Pass forever now will be there too, day one.
You know who won't, Fonz?
Who?
Some of the hardcores will refuse to go to PlayStation Now when it goes day and date, but not very many. Like you're right, the major majority of gamers that are playing tons of games every year, they'll go to PlayStation Now when it's doing that. But quit trying to protect your precious exclusives and their value at $60 by saying you don't want Spider-Man 2 or Horizon Zero Dawn to come to PlayStation Now day and date. That's so
silly to me. And two, you act like once it comes to PS Now, it's still not available in brick and mortar and everywhere else.
I'll say this: the majority of the games I played in 2019 have come from Game Pass.
Mm-hmm. Which sees more engagement, which sees more investment. I mean, all of that. I mean, again, there are so many layers to this that people don't even come close to considering.
The best game, almost like honestly, the best game this year, and one of the best games this entire gen came on Game Pass. Gears 5.
Yep. Let's go and move forward. And you know what? Well, I'm going to cut a lot of the smaller topics out because we have some Scarlet stuff coming up as well that I really want to go over. But I'll just run through some of the smaller stuff. We'll skip past some other stuff. I wanted to give my quick impressions, just sort of 30, 40 seconds of Grid 2019. I played it today. I've got it. It is like Grid 1. I don't think it's Xbox One enhanced yet. I know it's getting enhanced for sure. We've seen the early build of that. But keep in mind, I'm not sure if it's enhanced just yet. Hopefully it's not, because I think it could look a little better, but it does feel like Grid 1. I'll know more about that next week if you're still curious about that. Red Dead 2 coming to PC November 5th through Rockstar Games Launcher. We played this a year ago. None of us really care. Doom Eternal delayed until March 2020. That fucking sucks, man. I was really looking forward to playing Doom Eternal.
Yeah, dude.
And something tells me that this isn't just a regular delay, because that's a long time for just a random delay from a game like Doom that kind of looked like it was, for the most part, done.
They probably saw March as like an open field. Like, there's not much coming out in March. We have February is fucking stacked, but what's coming out in March?
I don't know, but what was coming out in November? It's not like there was a ton in November, was there?
Yeah, the Star Wars game. There's another game. Like a couple games are coming out. It's the holiday, man.
Star Wars, but it's like, what else?
They're not moving Doom Eternal because of those games. Doom Eternal.
No.
We're excited for that. So, yeah, something's going on there.
There's no such thing as a bad delay. If they're gonna make the game better, fucking do it.
There's not.
Also,
there was never a whisper of any problems. That's the weird thing.
Yeah. Xbox One sales update, according to a pretty accurate source today.
They matter.
Hey, channel members, put the sales emoji in the comment there. Xbox One sales update according to a reliable source, 46.9 million sold. So I said this the other day on a podcast I did. I went to the other side, right? I did a Sony podcast and offered some perspective and kind of what I thought things were going to happen. I guessed about 45 million Xbox Ones. Kind of funny today. This comes out. Yeah, I would say this is probably pretty accurate, pretty close actually.
Dealer, I thought it was only 30 million.
I thought it was 29.6, but whatever.
Yeah, they were at 29.
Star Raider asks a question. He says, off subject, but how do you feel about Warframe? They could really use crossplay and cross saves as well. That is a game built for that. Just like Fortnite and all them. That's a game built for crossplay.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if you're a fan.
Developers now. I mean, the developers. It's up to them now. So.
When it comes to Doom, Wimmyhood says, as long as it's a finished game, I'm good with it. I agree. There's no such thing as a bad game delay. It does suck if you're looking forward to it, but you always want finished games, not half-assed bullshit like we've gotten a lot this generation. Hopefully, publishers are kind of getting that through their head that it's not acceptable. It harms you in the long run. Releasing half-baked games, it fucks with your name.
Breakpoint.
343.
Stranding.
343 talk Halo Infinite, and I kind of want to get the chat's opinion on this. Just a little tidbit here that they revealed, but Halo Infinite, they used it says here that the 343 used a pug to make alien noises, right? So when it comes to the aliens, they actually used a little dog to make some. I'm trying to think, like, what aliens in Halo now sound anywhere near like what a pug could sound like the dog, right? And I'm not sure any do. So, I mean, could it be? And somebody in the chat, let me know. Do you think maybe there's a new race? Because I don't remember any aliens in the game sounding like a fucking pug.
Or a pug race coming out.
Because if you remember, like some racing games, they'll actually incorporate like the sounds of a lion, right, the animal, into an exhaust note for a car to make it more accurate. And it sounds crazy, don't it? They do all kinds of this crazy stuff with audio.
Always done that. Yeah, Star Wars used some really unorthodox, like zoo animals and baby sounds for R2-D2 through a vocoder, and like it was funny when that thing was like, "Oh, Halo Infinite's gonna be trash. They're using dogs for noises." It's like,
oh yeah,
alien running around.
People are just they reach so hard.
Say what, Fonz?
Colt uses his mouth for a trumpet.
Hey, but again, I just thought that was interesting. It's kind of something different they confirmed. I was thinking, man, there's no enemies that sound anywhere near like a pug could sound, or maybe they just distort it and make it into some kind of crazy. It's obviously got to have something to do with the breathing. Otherwise, why choose a pug, right? So,
don't you want the brutes to come back to Halo Infinite?
Of course. We were playing Halo Wars 2, and we're like, man, look at this, like the story.
I mean,
Halo
they were
Wars
like
2.
the main character in that DLC, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want them to come back.
Yes. Tim Dog, let's get into this first little piece of kind of leak information here via a reliable Chinese website. We've even got some Sony insider people like Thuwei and stuff saying, yeah, this site's pretty damn accurate, like them or not. Project Scarlet's GPU die size or APU die size compared to the PS5 chipset. What is it that you've stumbled on to here recently?
Well, it comes from the guy, tweeter Komachi, who in the past has been known for leaks and stuff like that. But it comes from actually a forum board in Chinese. I think it's PTT. Board that has to be translated. What was translated basically said that the Xbox One or the Xbox die chipset size is 350 nanometers, I guess is the correct word, compared to Sony's, which is 300. Now, this comes from pretty reliable information, so it is still a rumor, and it's something that you have to take grain of salt, but this is coming from some pretty legit guys. So they're saying that the die is bigger on the Xbox One. Now, for what that means could be a bunch of things. The original Xbox One was, I think, 362, and the PlayStation 4 was 348. The reason why Xbox One was bigger was because it had a lot of Kinect things built into the die.
Yes, right.
So and stuff like that onto the size of the system on chip. So, but this is a pretty sizable difference, and with that size, Sometimes you can equate it to power. It could be more CUs, compute units. It can be a bunch of things. It could be something for special sauce, but
that's why I want to come back to it, because we were talking about the PS5 earlier. If you missed it, we got a ton of details there. Shout out to Darj Knight as well, who just woke up with a headache. Sorry about that. Basically, the more silicon you have there, the bigger the chip is, as he explained, and it's not going to be bigger for no reason. They're both using 7-nanometer architecture, right? They've already confirmed Navi and Zen 2. So we know that they're both using the same architecture. Who knows how much more capable one will be of the other? But the reason the chip needs to be bigger is, as Tim said, you've got more things going on. So it could be that you got more cores. The more cores, obviously, the more powerful the chip. You could also have more ray tracing hardware on the chip itself. You could have, and we've talked before about how maybe they could use that ray tracing. The ray tracing tech as well. It could be like a multi-function core set where if a developer decides that in this scene there's no real ambient light to reflect off of certain materials, or they're not going to use ray tracing here, maybe we could do something with physics, and maybe they could find a way to make those ray tracing cores or whatever special cores those are to work with physics as well. You could accelerate physics through the actual GPU as well. Like, that's one possibility we've talked about before. So D, do you think that maybe they're working with a little something extra here? Do you think anything of this, if this is accurate?
Well, seeing how they're both 7-nanometer, if they were the exact same, makeup, they should be roughly the same size, give or take a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, this is a pretty big discrepancy, which personally tells me that it's got more under the hood. So it possibly has more SP units, has more cores, or it has a bigger ray tracing dedicated unit in there, or something. But if this leak is to be believed, it would point me to the direction that there's more hardware inside of the Scarlet. It's just more powerful.
Yeah,
it's got more cores, or it's got more ray tracing cores. It's got more under the hood.
If this is accurate, there's definitely a reason, because you don't want to produce a bigger chip than you have to. That makes everything more expensive. No. It more likely soaks up more power, takes up more room. There's no reason to make a chip bigger than you have to. None at all. Gaming News Central.
Seeing how they're 7-nanometer, it's kind of expecting them to be a bit smaller. So seeing that they are still that size, I don't monolithic still. If it's going to be a chiplet design, it's going to be some type of hybrid. So there's some interesting stuff. I can't wait till they dig in deeper and let us know what's going on in the system. But once again, if this is to be believed, it's looking like the Scarlet has more.
Could be.
So what does the 7-nanometer architecture mean on a 300 plus nanometer SoC?
Well, we don't know. We don't know what it's really made of. Is it going to be a chiplet design? There's a lot of things that we still don't know, right? How they're going to manufacture this. Like 7-nanometer, there's a lot of things. 7-nanometer right now is kind of taxing for it to be produced. Like TSMC is having a hard time, with the Ryzen chips, keeping up with demand. You got the new iPhones that are running under 7-nanometer. So, it's
there's a lot of things. There's cache levels as well. With the Xbox One X, they move certain things around, like the GPU, the command processor, right? They integrated it into GPU. Which is
DX12.
They've done a lot there, so who knows what they're going to do. We do know that there'll be one-off chips. You will not be able to buy these on PS5 side or Xbox side on the PC. And hopefully, man, we know they're going to be monsters. We've said it before. They're going to be the most balanced consoles of all time. Frame rates, technologies that utilize every single part of the system. You should see it all in games, whereas now volumetrics are pretty bottlenecked on console games. But again, man, just look forward to this shit, because I'm excited as hell.
I'm so honest, not to cut you off there, sorry, but PC gamers are so down on console guys trying to downplay this. And I got to say, once again, this is good for all gamers, because the more optimized console games are, the more ray tracing becomes the norm, the more that it'll trickle over to PC, because now you have that optimization that came from consoles. And, if you have a higher performing system, you're going to benefit from that. So this is good for gamers in general.
And they should love console gamers, because consoles power most of the sales for AAA games, right? So without that investment from console gamers, you're not getting massive games like Red Dead 2 on just PC by itself, most likely, right? I think that's safe to say.
We never even ever had Red Dead 2 if it wasn't for consoles. And let people enjoy a $500 purpose-built little PC gaming box. Yeah. Let people enjoy that. And if you don't think it's powerful enough, especially with next generation, like most games running at 60 now, there's very few excuses to say that a console gamer can't absolutely enjoy a $500 box that just plays games.
That and two, don't worry about my fucking money. Like, I'll just say, I'd say just mind your own fuckhole. Go somewhere else. We've got PCs. We choose console. Get over it. Not a big deal. I want to go ahead and also in my last video, I confirmed. If you're crying, one sec. I see you, D. In my last video, we talked about. We got one more thing after this too that I want to run by the chat and everything too. But in the last video, I confirmed, or Microsoft confirmed rather, there is no Kinect style camera bullshit being developed. Like a lot of websites were reporting, there was already being some backlash. Oh, they're spying on you. Oh, we're gonna have to pay for a Kinect. Why are they doing this? They couldn't. It couldn't be this stupid. And Microsoft said, you know what? No, we're going to actually speak up and crush this bullshit. So Scarlet does not have some kind of Kinect in development for those that were running with that, for those that heard that. They do not have any kind of VR or not VR, but streaming camera built in or anything. Microsoft came out directly and said nothing like that is in development whatsoever, which, Zalker, as you pointed out earlier, it's good that they're actually jumping on stuff like this early.
Oh, yeah, hardcore. Oh, thanks, Zafons.
Zacher.
Yeah, soccer. I think this is awesome. I mean, I think you made a video about this. I made a video about this. I think it's awesome that they, like, this camera thing was like, back in the day, everybody was like, what the fuck is that? Right? Like, people are going to be watching.
It's spying on me.
As I play my game. So, like, I don't know. I think this is awesome that they were just like, nope, fuck that. Because Xbox, it knows firsthand more than any other company how bad something like this can damage a brand, right? Like, this literally almost, not like this specifically, but this almost killed the Xbox brand, if we're going to be honest with each other. And so I think it's awesome that they saw this. Like, the rumors, like, it's going to come with a camera. They were like, nah, fuck you, dude. No, it's not. Like, we're going to come out real quick. Like, they sent a PR guy. They're like, get your ass out there, press conference. And like, I don't know. Like, I think it's awesome that they're doing this. And it's kind of, and it's kind of a tale of two companies. Like, I've talked about the ray tracing thing. Like, why didn't Sony come out sooner to talk about it? And I don't know.
They could just make another Twitter account to correct bullshit that's out there, like official. Make it official, and just correct
Xbox
stuff
facts.
like that. Yeah,
Xbox fact checker. There you go.
Xbox fact checker. Somebody says Xbox has no games. They just don't reply.
Run by Tim Dog. No, you a dumb bitch.
Xbox whistleblower.
Hey, gaming news. Central says PS fan in disguise. I'm a stockholder. Wah sales. Yeah, it does happen. It does happen. You got to have them sales, man, or else.
Were you guys surprised by this though? Like, they responded so quickly. Like, were you guys? Because I was legitimately surprised. I was like, oh, there's gonna be a camera. I don't know. That doesn't sound right. We'll learn about it later at XO or something, or just someone will say something and no. And it was like instantly, like the next day, they were like, nope, fuck you.
Yeah,
they have to be more proactive. They handled it great the way they did. It's just that's what you got to do. You got to have you got to have a little bit of a finger on the pulse where you can see that, like, that's starting up and just say no, it's bullshit. People were starting to take it and run with it. I'm like, listen, when it first came out, Logic told me, says this is going to be sold separately. This is definitely not a part of their vision. This would be absolutely crazy. But people, who didn't really take that. They were like, oh, look, Kinect 3.0. And then there was one article that had the audacity to say Xbox is taking out features because they denied the rumor. They were actually giving
really?
Yes, a UK article was saying that they took out features and it's going to be less of a console now that they denied it. So the craziness around Microsoft is
they took it out, but something that was confirmed and never be in development, they took it out. That's what they said?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's it. A lot of this like fear mongering is kind of annoying, to be honest. Like, didn't Breakpoint sell like a lot less than Wildlands physically? And then they were like in the article, and they said in the art as it should. Did you play it?
Yeah, I played the beta. Trash.
I don't know about that. I heard it was pretty decent. But anyways, they say that the digital like sales of it has made up for that. I'm glad they're starting to say that. Like, they're not just saying this sold horribly and it's the worst. Like, at least they're starting to say.
They're saying that because they get called out all the time with their, even like when Aaron Greenberg responded to Gaming Bolt. Remember that, Tim? And what did they try to say? Greenberg said they're not interested in buying any more studios or whatever. And Greenberg replied, and he's like, everyone's like, no, that's not what he said at all.
Greenberg threw like a package of Chips Ahoy at the guy. He goes, I didn't say that.
Darsh says
That's
good
another
night.
response,
Darsh Knight
right?
says good night. He's using the PlayStation clown emoji. Thank you so much. But yeah, I mean, I think it's good, Zucker. To answer your own question, I think it's great that they're.
Yeah, I think it's awesome.
Yeah,
I hope we see more of that. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be with everything. Like if somebody says Xbox is not going to have a controller, they're going to be like, all right, whatever. But like, I just like honestly, they're going to just like I think it's just going to be big news that can damage like something like that. Like if that rumor kept going on, could damage the brand in next gen. And I think they want next gen to start off extremely smooth.
Hey, Shin,
I don't think they want
Zucker. Shin has a comment perfect for the Kinect. Okay. He says, I have all gamer score on Xbox Fitness, U-Shape, UFC Training, EA Active, all Kinect Fitness games. Awesome. I've lost some weight, but I don't miss them anymore. I do remember those games, man. I forget all about those games. Say what, Colton?
It's funny that he remembers the names of a lot of those. He forgot Shape Up though.
That's because he used them, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I legitimately think he did.
Yeah. I mean, they were, I don't know, whatever. That's just the direction Microsoft were going back then.
There was a kickback in the day, like stay healthy while you still game. You know?
I hated Kinect. I just hated that thing.
Come on, Fawn. Dance Central was the bomb.
Yeah. We're going to go ahead and move forward, though. It is what it is there. Glad they shut it down like they did. This one's a bit more interesting, and why I responded to the earlier super chat like I did, because there's a VR patent from Microsoft, directly from Microsoft, that leaks a VR mat, stylus, and motion controller for Project Scarlet. Looks like VR is coming at some point here. So if you are a VR fan, Top Dog, you can fucking breakdance right now until your shoes burst into flames. I want to hear what you think about it. Now, personally, I've never really been into VR. I used to say no one gives a fuck years and years ago, but since then I'm like, well, I got to try it, right? D's always like, you got to try this. You want to understand, I started years ago saying, well, I got to try it. I obviously got to try it. I keep being told this. So, I don't know, D, you're kind of into VR, and we don't want to put everyone to sleep here because it's VR and, but what are your thoughts?
VR, once again, you have to definitely try it. It's something you got to try. And if you don't have the setup, can't afford the setup, don't want to get the setup, but just want to try it, just go into any Microsoft store. They always have it on display that you can try it out. VR is the future, and you have to try it.
Shut up, D.
To know that it's the level of immersion that you get from VR. Nothing comes close. Nothing. Period. That's it.
You're in the
not
game,
close,
right?
though, bro.
Yeah, and especially VR that's done well. And you could do platformers in VR. You don't have to be the character. You could have like a side view or an over top view, and it just looks incredible. It's a good feature. I love it. It's a little bit pricey, so not everybody can get into it. You got the hardware or you got the money to spend on it. But I still think Microsoft should invest in the future because it's going to be a thing.
Why is it so unpopular, though?
I don't think it's really that unpopular. It is pretty popular. People that try it, they like it, and people are getting into VR all the time. But once again, the price of admission is a little bit high for most.
I just don't think the price of admission really, I don't think they're there yet. I think they're freaking years away from it being an actual legitimate thing where we're going to get a big old AAA game on it. I honestly think that because I've tried VR. It's just not there yet.
AAA games on VR now. That's not true. There's AAA games.
Yeah, but I'm talking about where a bunch of developers are making games for it, right?
Well, that's where the cost. That's where
it.
What's this big AAA? Let me.
So what's a big AAA, D?
So you're VR. Acting like so basically you just need like where every other game supports it in some way. Like it's got to be a lot more ubiquitous, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I've also seen people that tried it. Like I've tried the PSVR, I tried it at GameSpot or Target or whatever the hell I was. I've tried it there, and a dude legitimately walked away and threw up. Like people they're not doing well.
Everyone's
with it.
different, though.
I know everyone's different, but it needs to be they need to get the frame down. They need to get a bunch of stuff down before it actually becomes massive.
If PSVR is going to be your first foray into VR, you're going to walk away with probably a much worse interpretation of it over something like Oculus or HTC, right? So, I would.
Well, and now we even have standalone units like the Oculus Quest where you don't need anything. It's completely wireless. It's its own device within itself. And I think that's when it's really going to take off when VR can be completely wireless. and affordable, I think that's when the masses will
No,
jump on it.
I've heard they're working on the tech, and they're trying to make it to where people that do have motion sickness do not get affected by VR. They're working on that. Until then, I don't think it's really going to be mainstream because there's millions that are affected by motion sickness. So
That has to do
Yeah,
with
the
compression and
chat are bringing
frames.
up Resident Evil 7, which I was going to say. That was one of the first,
Yeah.
like, you got to try
That's a
this if you're a VR
AAA.
fan. That's a AAA. Even though the game looked like
Doom.
a PS3 game on the
Fallout.
PS4 in VR, you know, like, it still was in VR, and that's kind of more of what they need. Those experiences
Resident
in
Evil
VR.
7 is the big one, yeah.
Yeah, Resident Evil 7. So,
Which is 2017.
I mean, you gotta remember, Microsoft never brought VR to the Xbox One X because they knew that, you know, really we're gonna need a better CPU and just better tech to really do that. If we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it right. And that's a lot of the complaints about the PSVR. Is, you know, it's a severely compromised experience in a lot of games, but you know, it's also the most affordable. So you kind of pick and choose, right?
You know, another criticism I
Tim,
was the fact that, you know, you mentioned the immersion, that there's nothing like it. There's nothing more immersive. You're 100% correct, but there is also a downside to that. When you have that VR thing on your head, you don't know what's going on around you. Somebody can come in and rob your house or whatever. You know,
Relax, Tim.
I mean, if you're that paranoid, you better not put that bitch on.
No,
You
but
better not go to
the
fucking
point-
sleep,
the
Tim.
point-
You better
the
stay
po-
up 24 hours.
if you have a kid, you're not playing with it. The point is that one of the things that a criticism I heard is that it has to be, there'll be a way for you to also, you know, be able to see what's going outside around you, you know.
Well, they
So-
kind of do have that with
Tim's
some of the
playing
VR
VR.
headsets now. They got cameras on the outside where you can opt to do a see-through mode where you can actually, you know, switch it to
Is
see
that
what's
really?
going on in the
Tim-
room.
I don't know that.
So
Tim's playing VR and it cuts out. He fucking takes the headset off, looks around, his kitchen's gone, everything's gone. Just his PS4 sitting there, and he's like, "Fuck!"
I got an
He
electric
passes
octopus
down
on my
his
head. I
shoes.
can't see shit.
It's like everything's gone. His shirt. He's like, "When did that happen?"
I threw up on myself. I'll throw up all over the
But
place.
I wanted to say real quick, I agree with Dealer though. Your first VR experience should not be the PlayStation VR. I'm not going to sit there and say that it's trash. It's not. It's a pretty good experience for what you're
The
paying
most
for.
popular
But
one out there,
it's
though,
it's
right?
it's not the gold standard.
It's not exactly what developers intend. There are some compromises there, but again, the price is the cheapest. That's how it works. So Brian Field says, I would play every first-person shooter in VR if you could. 100% agree about VR. The second I threw on the helmet, it wasn't a gimmick in my mind. Yeah, I mean, he was made a believer by trying it, and that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Have been looking at it for years. So when it comes to VR, we'll see. They obviously skipped it on the X for a reason. And the last time they talked about it, they talked about how they want third-party guys to build headsets for the console and compete. And you can use consoles from the PC and, you know, all that stuff. So they'll keep the consoles in mind. And now with the Scarlet being a new baseline for VR, I think it'll be more capable as a result.
Still
Well,
going to be
just the
very-
fact that it's built on Windows, you can use the Windows mixed reality headsets really if they want to. It's just a flip of the switch to enable them. And those headsets are really good. You got like a Samsung one that's, you know, 1440p, really high refresh rate using an OLED screen, and you know, and they actually got rid of the screen door effect on that one. So there's some good headsets out there that potentially could be compatible with the console.
Yeah, Wilmy Hood's talking about a game on Steam that he was playing as well. He's talking about using the HTC as well. So, yeah, there's some capable stuff out there, guys. But again, that has been our time. Long show today, guys. Thanks for joining us. Over 950 of you guys in the chat today. Thank you so much. Share this out. Hit that like button as you file out. We're going to do some outros. I'm also going to kind of ask around about the gameplay at the very end again. For those that really want their feedback taken, I'm trying to make sure that I get as much feedback as possible about this stuff. Keep in mind that the layout, the logo, all that stuff's temporary. I'm getting stuff made, so don't worry about that. It's just a gameplay pure question only. Thank you guys again. So, hey, Colt, did you have anything to add about the VR stuff before you kind of give your outro?
No, I mean, I think I've said before that I tried it at the Microsoft Store playing this game where you shoot down like Minecraft soldiers with a bow and arrow. It feels like you're really in the middle of a cheap cartoon. But I also tried the Oculus Quest a week ago, and they loaded up a roller coaster game. And I'm sorry, and I just had some water. it looked like something ripped right out of 1992. I'm like, are you serious?
So
with
the
this
games
thing?
they
Like,
showed you kind of look like trash on it for some reason.
like really, really bad. And he's like, oh, it's all self-contained. I'm like, self-contained nothing. Like, this isn't the way to experience VR.
Self-contained. This looks like shit.
So
You know,
as I mean, that kind
you're
of proves
looking
the
at-
point though, because you were shown
looking at
VR and it was shown wrong.
Yeah,
right?
you're looking at 1990s rocks and like flat shader textures. The VR was running at like 13 frames per second. It was awful.
So they're showing it off really
headache.
badly.
It was just I had it on for maybe a minute, and my buddy was sitting next to me, and he's like, "How is it?" I go, "It's really lame. Here, put it on." And I put the thing on, and I walked away and stole his wallet.
It's really lame. Yeah, you heard it here first, Cole. Said, get rid of that VR and
Now-
bring back full motion video gaming.
But when I played VR at the Microsoft store, I was playing on an Alienware like $1,800 PC tower, playing a game that looked like it was Minecraft. It was high frame rate. I was shooting a bow and arrow. I had the bow and arrow,
I've seen that
like,
game.
Type thing. Yeah, I mean, it's a cool game, but these games, like, usually you play them for a few minutes, you're like, okay, I'm done. The difference between being on a console dealer is like, shut up, Colt, we're into the show. The difference between us gamers on a console, like we put a controller in our hands, we sit down, we played the best freaking games of the year, like all the time. And on VR, I don't get that experience. It's not just the tech, the games aren't there. I'm not playing like an amazing full-fledged shooter or racing game. I guess you can do racing games. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Dealer, thanks for having me on my show. I really appreciate it.
On my show.
I really like the gameplay on the feed. I think it's really cool. I hope more people agree, so you'll keep it.
Yeah,
I can't wait
me
to see
too.
the overlays. Everything is like so improving on the show. We had over 900 people on tonight, which is really cool. It's not like E3 weekend, so I've just been really proud of the panel and all the people that come and talk to us in the chat. It's a great Tuesday. I love it. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks again, man. Also, Ermi talking about Digital Foundry getting attacked earlier by this fanboy that made a video calling him a liar and all this stuff. Like, according to NeoGAF, Reset Era, like, don't pay attention. No one really pays attention to sites like that. Like, in the grand scheme of thing, like, I'm sure the video was bullshit, but if John's being attacked by people on Reset Era, especially trash ass site, who gives a fuck? Those guys are known for lying and taking shit out of context. That's pretty much all they do.
John Linneman?
NeoGAF, I can't really speak on as much, but
Part of that whole cancel culture as well, going back 4 or 5 years, trying to get people in trouble.
Yeah.
But Reset Era basically is NeoGAF. Just when it kinda
it's
split.
one of those things. Once again, someone like John shouldn't be paying attention to that kind of stuff because
No.
at the end of the day, that video, that dude's opinion who made the video, all the trolls on NeoGAF or Reset Era, none of those guys matter. Look at the like ratio of John's video. Look at the comments in John's video. That's really what matters. Those are the people who engage and actually watch the video. So, yeah, John's a good guy. He's doing the best he can. He's excited for Gears.
Too sensitive.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't be that sensitive either if I was him. Kind of, it's the internet. It is what it is. You block out the radical fanboys like that. You don't even give them a spot in your day. Their opinions are meaningless because they're lying or spreading shit half the time anyway. So, hey, D-Batch, brother, how you been? What have you been playing? Where can people find you?
I'm chilling, man. I was playing a little bit of Ghost Recon Breaking Point, and it's fucking trash, to be honest with you, man. I'm not impressed with the graphics. The graphics are pretty poor. The textures look like plastic, man. I'm just not impressed with the game.
You playing on NVIDIA 480 RX Ti GT 1080?
That's it, man. It's just, but it really isn't an impressive game, and it's a resource hog. And if you look at the game on PC, it's like, why are you using so much resources? You should be cranking out fucking 6K resolution the way you fucking look.
With
Whatever.
this card, yeah, with certain cards,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, but you guys can catch me on Twitter at D_batch and on YouTube at DBatch. Catch my latest video today on the PlayStation 4 news. PlayStation 5 news. And I also put a link in there to the video that I did, I don't know, about a month ago, stating that I thought the PlayStation 5 would have hardware ray tracing, for the trolls out there saying otherwise.
Yeah, you definitely said that before the show. Again, we had always said that they hadn't confirmed it yet and treated it as such. So, Shin says DMX and new Halo. Not sure about that, but that'd be pretty. What? That'd be pretty interesting. We've also got Fonzarelli, brother. Thanks for joining us. What have you been playing? Where can people find you, bro?
Yeah, I've been playing that Destiny 2, back on that grind. After 8 months hiatus, I'm back and playing with the cross save on both PlayStation and the Xbox. So it's been wonderful, amazing time. But I just want to say that, this 2 hours went by so damn fast. I didn't even realize it. Like today, it's been awesome. The chat has been on fire. Like, see, when I come to the show, I'm constantly discussing things with you guys, but also with the chat all the time. Like, they have some great stuff they're always bringing up. So it's great to chat with them as well. And you can find me on Twitter at jfonzarelli and YouTube at The Grounded Gamer. And I had a blast, man. It went by too quick today.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. Top Dog says Wipeout in VR. Speed is crazy in that game as well. So Top Dog's a VR fuck boy. So if you want any VR advice, like I'm being serious. If you want any VR advice, ask Top Dog. That's the one thing I'd ever even ask Top Dog about. But for sure, VR. Also, we've got xCloud, Tim Dog. What's going on, man? What have you been playing? Where people find you?
You can find me at Twitter, xCloud Tim Dog. You also find me on this show every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Happy to see the 950 concurrent. That's a really nice number. Really impressed with the engagement. As far as what I've been playing, I finished Gears. I loved Gears. I have to say it was one of my best games for Xbox this generation, if not the best game I played for them this generation. I gave it a 9.5 for the single player. And I also just finished Man of Medan, which is a game by Supermassive. It's the game that the developers who did Until Dawn. This is kind of like a carbon copy type deal. Try to see who lives. I'd have to say there's some things to recommend about this game, but there's also some things that I didn't like. So I would give that game overall like a 7. But I still got to go back to and do some of the scenes and try to save some of the people. But I would recommend it if you can get it on sale.
Man of Medan, which is from the creators of Until Dawn, right? Yeah. Yeah. So Immortal thinks Call of Duty Modern Warfare will be among the best games of the generation. We'll see. We'll definitely see. By the way, Cybernox, if you're listening, you did win a copy of Modern Warfare. So reach out to me on Twitter and we'll set that up. Obviously, I can't pre-order the code to you, obviously. So it'll have to be out and I can kind of give it to you. But what were you saying, Cole?
I'm Cybernox. You sent it to me.
Zocker, what have you been playing? Where can people find you, bro?
Zocker!
I've been playing Apex. I've been playing some Uncharted 4. Uncharted 4 is actually like a really good game. I like that game a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna be playing, hopefully, with my buddy, some Borderlands. Hopefully soon, because that dude's just an asshole. And you guys can find me on Twitter at Zalker87, on YouTube Zalker87, and Mixer Zalker87. And Dealer, I really appreciate you putting me on Colt Show. I had a really good time.
Yep.
Everybody in chat, you guys are fucking awesome. You guys honestly just make the show that much more enjoyable. Like Fawn said, like everything about it, this is awesome, man. I love Tuesdays.
Best chat.
Yeah, man. So much engagement.
Who's falling down the hill?
D-Batch had no chills tonight. Did you notice that? No chills, D.
No chills, D. So yeah, good show, guys. Again, fantastic panel. Follow these guys. Follow all of them. Support them all. Follow them on Twitter. You can obviously hit your like button as you stream out here. You can follow me at dealer_gaming on. Oh my God. No, tell them what they're gonna think that was. You can follow me at dealer_gaming on Twitter. Dealer space II on Xbox Live, and of course hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon here on YouTube. We just passed 50K, and it's been a hell of a journey. We got a lot of good stuff coming up, a lot of good stuff in the future, and we've tried to keep you in the loop on pretty much everything that's happening. Stuff that you never hear. You don't hear this on IGN. You don't hear none of this stuff hardly anywhere because I don't know. I guess they don't like to speculate, but as we've said and kind of shown, a lot of this stuff kind of turns out to be quite accurate. So we don't mind it. It's fun. It's what we like. So I played a little bit of Grids today. I've been playing some Borderlands with Colt, and what else were we playing? I don't know. We were playing something. Oh, Halo Wars 2. We're gonna
play
Halo Wars 2.
Yep, Halo Wars 2.
Halo Wars 2. Which
we're gonna play Breakpoint. We're gonna give that a fair shot. We're gonna give that a good 7 minutes before.
yeah.
That's too much. Too much.
No, if you don't want it.
we'll give it a shot. See if we like it.
We'll play it in some co-op. See how that's going down. But again, guys, you got any friends that are into this kind of stuff? Show them. Hit that like button. I want to know from those who are still here if the gameplay is a yay or nay.
It's fucking awesome.
Again,
I've been watching
overlay
it the whole
stuff
time.
is coming. The way stuff's organized, don't worry about it. It'll all change. And we'll come up with some other stuff. But just a 1 in the chat if you like the gameplay. A 2 in the chat if you don't. Borderlands 3, hour and something of footage. Just threw it up there. Might help the time pass. Might be distracting. So that's kind of what I want to know. And we'll kind of let this little chat survey run. 1 if you like the gameplay. 2 if you don't. I care enough to ask twice.
Zocker only had 1 F-bomb tonight. Good job, Zocker.
Oh,
First of all, I had at least 3. I know that.
I only heard 1.
You only heard 1. Well, you take 2 more shots because everybody's drinking.
The batch, LOL1.
You stopped yourself another time.
I've only
I
seen
did
it
stop
once.
myself twice.
disappeared.
Yeah. So
I
I gotta
really
protect Colt's little ears.
There's gunplay with a 4. All right.
Yeah, I'm really I'm pushing for the gameplay to stay because I mean if it is distracting, hopefully you can
It's not
ignore it. But,
Dread
it's
pull,
just-
you
I like
fraud.
it.
He put a 3.
It's not distracting. It's actually enjoyable to sit here and watch at times and see Colt go down and deal with him after.
Shut up, bots.
Oh my god.
I want some Zocker Apex footage on this stream.
Hey, didn't somebody do gameplay before you, Diller?
yeah. Gameplay's been around forever. I was talking to
my gosh.
I was talking to Xbot, and I guess he took that as like me being a giant. I did come off as an asshole, but it wasn't supposed to be like triggering, But I ain't got no hard feelings against Xbot. It's just I don't know. I don't try to.
We're just having fun.
I don't try to jump in and take credit for things other people do.
You're an asshole.
This gameplay is fine. New overlays, yeah. The overlays will definitely try stream. Yeah, I'm gonna get a couple different overlays made. So again, a lot of money being pushed into all this stuff to try to make it the best it can possibly be for you guys, as usual. All right, so pretty unanimous. We got a couple people that can't count. We got some 1s. We got almost no 2s.
We got some binary codes going on, and
yeah, we got some matrix shit.
It's like a unanimous one. I gotta say, Dealer, I can offer you up some of my VR gameplay.
Get out of here.
VR. everyone's
Sitting with a
just
big
throwing up on their
Minecraft
TVs
arrow.
and their tablets and stuff.
D-Batch can't put gameplay up on YouTube because it would just be him going, okay, let me check the temperature of the CPU. No, it's pretty good.
Oh my god. Okay.
He's running a little hot.
Again, shout out to everyone in the chat. The One Gaming, 9 Lives, Lethal, Fantastic Moderators, Obi-Wan FTW, Lethal Papa, Wimmy Hood. We got Silly in the chat. We got Marcus Mazarak. I like the name. Slim Killer 73. Thank you so much. Gameplay FPS with the smiley face. Goat 56 and everyone else. You guys are all fantastic. You make this the most powerful podcast around. We're gonna get out of here. Thanks again for rocking out with us. We are out.
See ya.
I signed up twice.